Chapter 276, Lu Zhen, the King of Eastern Sun. Bang, 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 bang. Continuous gunshots reverberated across the hills located outside of Helios City, and people who were kneeling on the ground started collapsing with all of their skulls pierced by a 12.7 round, killing them instantly. After the last kneeling guy died, the flying horse slowly descended onto the ground, and the 12-year-old kid, who was the shooter, jumped from the back of the horse with the sniper rifle. Clap, clap, clap. A middle-aged-looking fellow landed behind him and started clapping. Bravo, Your Majesty. You are indeed a once-in-a-century genius. Without any formal training, you have not only struck the target without fail, but even managed to put a hole in their skulls precisely. Meanwhile, the soldiers, who were nervous as hell as they stood behind the prisoners as the kid fired the bullets, couldn't help but wipe out their sweat and let out a series of sighs of relief as the mass execution is finished. And this 12-year-old kid is none other than Lu Zhen, the current king of Eastern Sun. He is a two-circle spirit warrior of fighter path. However, he likes bows and arrows instead. But ever since Lan Jiang returned with a wide variety of guns, he fell in love with them, especially the M99, the single-shot sniper rifle that shoots a 12.7x99 round. With its range going as far as 1,800 meters, he picked it as his principal weapon, carrying it with him all the time. However, the only problem is that Lan Jiang had only brought 100 bullets of 12.7 caliber with him, and Phoenix Empire is thousands of kilometers away from the Eastern Sun Kingdom. So, he wasn't recklessly shooting the bullets, at least, not from this sniper. At present, 8 death row prisoners of the Eastern Sun were executed for the first time without using the guillotine, and that too, away from the public. One can say that Lu Zhen has the style, but neither Lan Jiang nor other soldiers appreciate their king's methods. Reasons: Lan Jiang wanted the king to execute them publicly, so that the citizens will get to fear and respect his authority. On the other hand, the soldiers were dead scared about getting struck by those bullets. They preferred a much safer guillotine. After all, guns and bullets were pretty much a new concept to them, and people always feared or be wary of the unknown. So, their worries were reasonable. After finishing with the mass execution, Lu Zhen returns to the palace alongside Lan Jiang, his personal advisor as well as a guard. Considering how the kid trusts him and always listens to his opinion, the ministers and even the civilians pretty much think that Lu Zhen is just a puppet of Lan Jiang. But what can they do? Lan Jiang isn't just a royal guard of the king, but he is practically the guardian of the entire Eastern Sun Kingdom. Because of his peak 8 circle cultivation, neither the bordering empires of Leon and Kun, nor the politicians dare to dethrone Lu Zhen in any way, even if he was perfectly not qualified to sit on the throne, if one just considers his age and other qualified heirs. It's been more than 2 years since Lu Zhen has been the king, and the administration was good so far. There's been less crime rate, rebellious groups were being dealt with swiftly, and the economy is doing very well. Anyway, no one is complaining and every problem is being handled, so Lu Zhen was at peace while taking decisions. Although, in the process, he might have traded his childhood innocence in exchange for the supreme authority. Now, there was one more person who could potentially influence him and ruin all the policies indirectly introduced by Lan Jiang. She is the most important person to Lu Zhen. Her name is Zhan Rong, and she appeared to be at the palace when the king returned to his home. One of the rooms of the royal palace was dedicated to a number of small and big aquariums where exotic aquatic creatures, mostly fishes, were being looked after daily. Of course, none of them are high-ranking spirit beasts. They were either normal ones or the ones below 2 circle. So generally, they are harmless for someone like Zhan Rong, who is a 5-circle healer. A couple of soldiers were currently transferring a jellyfish from a bucket full of water to a clean aquarium tank. At the moment, this 2-circle aquatic beast appeared to be immobile due to the seal placed on it. After it was transferred into a fresh tank, the seal was removed and the jellyfish started moving again. It didn't show any signs of struggling and started to swim around. A smile appeared on Zan Rong as she touches the glass. That transparent glowing body and tentacles, it is so beautiful. There was this look of intoxication on her as she watched the jellyfish swim around. She was so into it that she didn't even notice Aoyang Zhen and Lan Jiang entering the room. Maybe the jellyfish was also happier in its new environment and is expressing its thankfulness. Upon reaching the surface of the water, it raised a couple of tentacles above the glass. Thinking that the creature wants to show appreciation, Zhang Rong raised her hand to grab it. But just before she does that, a slender hand caught her arm and pulled back immediately. Zan Rong was taken aback and looked at the source to find Aoyang Zhen, who looked like he was terrified. "What the hell, Zan Rong? Do you want to die?" The 19-year-old didn't understand and was too shocked at his outburst. "What happened, Zhen Zhen?" Aoyang Zhen shouted at her once again. "Don't you know what beast that is?" "Ah, you were talking about this jellyfish." Zan Rong sighed in relief upon realizing what Aoyang Zhen was talking about. She thought that she made some mistake, triggering this kid's anger. She then explained with a smile, "It's actually a two-circle beast. Its sting won't harm me. Moreover, I think it likes this place. See how happy it is." However, Aoyang Zhen didn't calm down from the explanation. Instead, he pointed at the jellyfish's body and continued to yell at her. "It is not an ordinary jellyfish but a box jellyfish, and that too, Varinex type." The red spots on its box-shaped body were pretty much the clue to identify it. Even if you are in the five-circle realm, once you are stung, you will barely survive a minute. What if we hadn't arrived in time? For God's sake, stop importing the aquatic spirit beasts. You were also bedridden the last time you decided to bring in a four-circle electric eel of fierce beast grade and tried to pet it. As the 12-year-old scolding at her out of concern, the latter just looked down at the floor in silence and finally apologized after he was done. "Sorry. It looks so adorable that I forgot about it." "Forgot? You forgot about it?" Ouyang Zhen's anger only rose further because of her words, and just as he was about to lose control, Lan Jiang handled the situation. "Okay, calm down, Your Majesty. We will take precautionary measures from now onwards." Followed by that, he then grabbed the kid and dragged him back a bit before whispering, "You know her more than anyone. Please don't make any mess out of this matter." As Lan Jiang freed him, Aoyang Zhen took a deep breath and spoke as softly as possible. "Sister Rong, please be careful from now onwards." "You are not angry with me?" she asked in response. "No, I'm not," replied Aoyang Zhen as he forced out a smile. Zan Rong immediately grinned. "Thank you." She then pointed it to the jellyfish, which started to swim around once again. "If I'll be careful on touching it, then can I keep it?" "No, no." Lan Jiang and Aoyang Zhen replied at the same time, surprising the girl. The 12-year-old then puffed up his chest and spoke in a dignified way like a king. "Lan Jiang, I need you to find out those bastards that are directly involved in bringing this fish to the palace. Even if there is no conspiracy theory, then all of them will have to be lashed 50 times with a whip." Before Lan Jiang responded to the order, Zan Rong hurriedly asked in worry, "What about the jellyfish? Will you kill it?" She appeared to be worried more about the life of a threatening jellyfish rather than the soldiers. Clearly, something is not right with her. Fortunately, Aoyang Zhen knows her personality very well. Hence, he tried to be careful with his words. "No, we will send it back to where it came from." "That's awful. There are so many terrifying creatures in the sea." Zan Rong made a disappointed face before looking at Lan Jiang for help, but the latter avoided her gaze and just looked away. Knowing that the kid rarely changes his mind when he decided on something, Zan Rong agreed to it. "All right. Anyway, the reason I came to visit you is to tell you that I got an invitation from Phoenix Empire. It's been a while since you stepped out of the palace. If you want to, you can join me. We can also visit your mother's hometown during the trip. What do you say?" Zan Rong hesitated quite a bit to answer as she glanced at each and every aquarium tank around. In the end, she nodded. "Okay." Yang Zhen was a little bit worried to leave her alone at the palace when he will have to leave the kingdom alongside Lan Jiang. and the Supreme General for at least 3 days. Now that she agreed, he finally managed to genuinely smile and reminded her, "Since it is pretty far, we should leave early in the morning." Chapter 277.1, Expo 1783, Part 1. 2 days later. Genesis Training Grounds, Imperial City. In the early morning of Monday, Mark and his family started working. The whole place was divided into 3 sections. The first section is covered by a huge tent where the auction will be taking place. Sitting at one of the tables, Song Yue was memorizing the script she was given, for she was going to be the host of the auction. As this expo involves transactions of huge amounts, millions of gold coins in Mark's opinion, Song Yue knew that she cannot mess it up. Fortunately, for the past couple of weeks, she was handling the customers at the store. With her experience as a manager at the very least, she has some confidence to pull this one. Song Yun Aka, the Black Knight, was simply standing behind his daughter, doing his bodyguard duty. In the meantime, Elena was commanding the butler robots in other arrangements like the chandeliers, food section, etc. The second section is covered by another tent where guns were neatly arranged on several long tables. Chimera SGM was the highlight of this section and was placed at the center of the room. All of them were enclosed in transparent glass boxes. It cost hundreds of gold coins for Mark to order these custom-made ones during the past 2 weeks. But then again, in front of the profits, he was going to earn soon enough. The costs were nothing. Alan was arranging all of that with the help of more robots. A sales assistant robot was deployed at each table with a weapon. The third section is an open area, which is currently being filled with a row of a Panzerei light multi-role vehicle LMV, PZH-2000 howitzer, LCA and destroyer. Even though it occupied the biggest space on the ground, much of it was just empty with only one model of each of them being put on display. Mark took the job of arranging those 4 vehicles. Just like with the firearms and explosives section, Mark also deployed a sales assistant robot for each vehicle for an explanation of their functions to the VIP clients. By 8:30 in the morning, everything was set, and the people who were passing by couldn't help but halt their footsteps for a moment to take a glance at those vehicles placed inside the compound of the training grounds. However, because of the stern looks of the soldiers recently stationed at the entrance, they didn't stand there for long and went on their way. In the meantime, Chang Bo also reported for duty. He was given the task of registering the names of everyone that enters the venue. The well-paired teenager was given a separate table and chair placed nearby the entrance to sit, a patio umbrella for the shade, and a butler robot to accompany so that he doesn't feel low. Not that he would, but still, Mark doesn't want to lose the loyalty of this hybrid intelligent being that could live for thousands of years. Thankfully, Shang Jiao, for some reason, decided to ditch her family and reported to duty as an employee of the store instead. At around 9 o'clock, she dragged one of the chairs from the auction hall to the entrance and accompanied Chang Bo. Shang Jiao was usually a person who doesn't like to be confined by rules set by society whatsoever, and no one dares to question her actions either. During her time at the store, she befriended Chang Bo of a similar age, despite the fact that he has neither background nor the strength to even look her in the eye. And now that the representatives of the major noble clans will arrive soon enough, this move might irk the imperial family and others pretty much soon. As for how it will affect Chang Bo's life, only time will tell. Meanwhile, Mark was going on the rounds to check whether everything is in place or not. After he was done with the weapons hall, he went to the auction hall to fetch his fiancée, who was still reading the script. Seeing the look on Song Yue's face, he spoke, "No need to be so anxious, Manager Song. Just take it easy." Song Yue raised her head to look at her fiancé and forced out a smile. "You are here, dear. Is everything done? The guests might arrive at any minute, so we should get ready." "All right." As both of them started walking away, the Black Knight followed them in silence while wondering why his daughter would constantly stutter every time she addresses her fiancé, and why Mark would address her using a prefix. Weren't they lovers? Perhaps it's because of his presence that they cannot show affection to each other. Song Yun couldn't help but wonder. Another hour passed away, and the first guest arrived at the venue. It was none other than Yuan Menzi, the current leader of the Yuan clan. He refused to stay at the imperial palace like other clan leaders, who will attend the auction together with the emperor as a big group. It goes without saying that the other clan leaders won't bid for the aircraft and howitzers which the emperor has an eye on. The imperial palace invited them first, so that Emperor Shang has fewer competitors in the auction. As for the sect leaders, they weren't invited because of a number of reasons. One, it is due to the annual summit, which will start on the same day quite coincidentally and will go on for the next 3 days. Two, they usually lack material wealth like gold coins. And three, they wouldn't likely show interest in firearms, as cultivation techniques are everything to them. Anyway, back at the training ground, while the coachman parked the horse carriage outside, Yuan Menzi started walking toward the gate alongside his cousin sister, who is trying her best to hide her displeasure. Her name is Yuan Meili, and she is the third daughter of the former patriarch of the Yuan clan and the governor of the northern Yuan province. She fancies the second prince and wouldn't want to miss any chance of meeting him. However, her cousin, the Yuan clan's devil, refused to entertain the emperor or his family and directly came to the venue, and she was forced to tag along with him. As they entered through the gate, both of them found the teenage couple giggling around. Yuan Meili was familiar with Shang Jiao, and she heard about the only employee of the store too. Hence, she didn't like the scene. In her eyes, the commoners without any status were just untouchables who shouldn't even be allowed to breathe the same air as her. On the other hand, Yuan Menzi's attention was stolen by the robot that is standing nearby them. Upon seeing him, the butler robot left its position and walked toward him. "Hello, welcome to Expo 1783 by GWS." While Yuan Meili was slightly taken aback by its appearance or the way of talking, the butler robot politely pointed his hand toward the table. "Please, register your identity before entering." "Interesting puppet," mumbled Yuan Menzi as he stared at the robot that have a perfect vocabulary and also manners. Meanwhile, Chang Bo and Shang Jiao had spotted the first guest, and they stopped chit-chatting. Chapter 278.2, Expo 1783, Part 2. As Yuan Menzi reached there and told them his name, Chang Bo, who has no idea about the guy, calmly wrote the name in the register and gave him a fist-sized blue token made of plastic with the number 19 written on top of it. This is commonly given in auction halls everywhere in the world, so the tokens were easy to buy and neither of the guests was surprised about it. However, Yuan Meili couldn't help but comment as she gave her name. Yuan Meili, daughter of Yuan Weishi. And I'm sure both of you heard of the proverb, the toad is wishing to eat the swan's meat. Chang Bo and Shang Jiao looked at her. They didn't understand why she was talking about the proverb in this situation. What's more surprising for them is that there was a look of disgust clearly written on Yuan Meili's face. While the well-paired teenage boy stayed silent as he knows his place, the spoiled princess didn't stop herself and directly confronted the young woman. "What do you mean, Sister Meili?" Yuan Meili was about to explain the meaning without bothering to keep it to herself, but her cousin didn't give her such a chance. Before she even replies to the princess, Yuan Menzi suddenly grabbed Chang Bo's hand and sharp nails erupted from his fingers, digging into the teenager's flesh, right away, before taking them out. "Arg!" Chang Bo screamed in pain, and Shang Jiao rose to her feet with anger evident on her face. "You dare!" The aura of a six-circle spirit warrior erupted from her. Yuan Menzi then licked the blood on one of the large pointy nails that is even bigger than his fingers, and had his eyes widened as if he realized something. "No wonder Lu Zhen recruited you. What's your name, boy?" "TSSSS, Chang Bo," replied the teenager while wincing in pain. He experienced far worse physical abuse in his life prior to his recruitment by Mark, so he wouldn't complain about this much pain. On the other hand, Shang Jiao wasn't as tolerant as him. Turning her hand into something like a sharp, icy sword, she tried to attack him, aiming at his chest. However, Yuan Menzi stayed on the spot. To everyone's surprise, her icy sword hand passed through him before he disappeared into thin air and reappeared behind her. He lightly patted her shoulder. "Cool down, princess. It's not smart of you to engage battle with a seven-circle expert, and that too at this location. Lu Zhen will not be pleased if you spoil his big day. How about you take it with me some other time?" And at the same time, his other hand landed on Chang Bo's shoulder before a streak of ether energy poured into his body and healed the wound. "There you go, Chang Bo." Shang Jiao jumped away from that place in reflex and looked warily at the guy. "Who the hell are you?" "For now, I'm a guest," replied the young man with a patch on his right eye. "That's all you need to know, princess." Shang Jiao stared at him in silence. After realizing that he is in seventh circle, she tried her best to control her urge to battle. Just like he said, her brother might not want to see a huge battle erupt on the training grounds, but she also knew that Mark is protective of his people. Dismissing her incomplete icy transformation, Shang Jiao snorted. "Humph, all right then, you can answer to the one who has the authority in this place. We'll see whether you will still be all condescending." I'm completely all right, Princess Jiao. There's no need to make this matter worse." Chang Bo intervened in the situation and politely requested both of the guests to proceed. While Yuan Menzi was calm as if nothing mattered to him, Yuan Meili gloated inside her head regarding her cousin's misfortune. She didn't have that much opinion on Mark. In her eyes, the weapon seller might be strong enough to take down her whole clan, but he is someone without any authority. All he can do is kill people. Sooner or later, he will offend some powerful guy and get himself killed. Yuan Meili was confident about it. However, Shang Jiao is different. She's the princess, the beloved daughter of the emperor who can turn the whole Yuan clan upside down with a snap of a finger. The emperor has the support of millions of citizens on his side. He can shun anyone down and make anyone turn into a pauper overnight. That is why Yuan Meili felt like her trip was satisfactory with her cousin offending the princess. Maybe she can escalate this situation to involve Imperial Palace in Yuan clan's affairs and remove this devil. She wondered. Anyway, both of them made their way to the weapons hall, where several unique firearms were displayed. In 20 minutes, both of them were finished with the tour and sat down at the auction hall. Yuan Menzi wasn't the type to think about his fellow clan members, so none of the weapons stirred his heart. As for the big ones on the outside, it takes everything for the Yuan clan to win the rights of one of those vehicles. However, Yuan Meili was different. She was sent to procure the weapons that suit the low-level ranking clan members in order to boost the overall strength of the clan. Of course, her main aim is to meet the second prince, but still, she can afford to spend her time thinking of the clan's requirements. Some of the weapons truly amazed her. Of them, Panzer I, which only cost 500 gold coins per unit, became at the top of the list of her priorities. While Yuan Meili is busy calculating the estimated prices of the bidding of the products she has an eye on, her cousin calmly sat beside her and was tossing the coin over and over again. No one knows what he was thinking at the moment. Whatever the case, they weren't talking to each other, and the robots were also silent. So, the auction hall looked as if no one is occupying the space. However, that was about to end in about 15 minutes as a group of people entered the auction hall. Representing the Eastern Sun Kingdom, Lan Jiang arrived with King Aoyang Zhen, Princess Zan Rong, and a general of Peak 6 Circle Realm Cultivation. Yuan Meili recognized none of them, but the Yuan worn by the kid clearly indicated that he is a ruler, and the symbol of the sun on it gave away his identity as the king of Eastern Sun. Yuan is a type of crown that only a king and his respective prime queen, the emperor and his respective empress, and ministers are allowed to wear at formal occasions. It is shaped like a tall hat with a flat base on top of it. There will be strings of pearls attached at each end. While it will be normal pearls for the ministers, the rulers and their spouses will have golden pearls. As for the symbols crafted on the crown of the rulers, They weren't just representations of the kingdoms. Those will usually have a defensive spell sealed inside so that it might come into use in case of a possible assassination attempt. While Yuan Menzi continued to toss the coin without bothering to speak to the fellow guests from far away, Yuan Meili rose to her feet and greeted them. As they introduced themselves to each other, Lan Jiang furrowed his brows as he glanced at Yuan Menzi, who was minding his own business. "Who is that?" he asked. Yuan Menzi raised his eyebrows and looked at him, while Yuan Menzi gloated inwardly and tried to be calm on the outside as she told them about her cousin. Naturally, they were surprised to hear that the strongest clan of the Phoenix Empire was fallen into the hands of a young man. Lan Jiang couldn't help but try to sense his cultivation. He nodded in realization. "I see. A 7 circle of advanced stage, huh? No wonder he appeared arrogant." Feeling that it is useless to start a fight over the lack of attention the king is getting, Lan Jiang led his companions to table number 12, where they sat according to the token they were given at the entrance. In order to acquire information about what her competitors were going to bid on, Yuan Meili ditched her cousin and joined their table, trying to start a conversation. Chapter 279.3, Expo 1783, Part 3. First floor residence, Genesis Weapon Store. Mark was waiting in the living room for the ladies to come out of their rooms. Looking at the clock on the wall, he mumbled, "It's almost 11 o'clock. How long they will take? The guests must have already started arriving. I could understand Song Yue is taking time, but even Elena too. Should I just go to the venue and meet with the guests? Both of them can turn up together at the time of the auction." But then again, only Lan Jiang and Shen Niu matter to him. After all, they are the only ones that can force Shang Fu to spend more money. Anyway, let's ask Alan if they arrived or not. As soon as he asked Alan through the system, the android sent the reply. "Ding, Alan reports that only representatives of the Eastern Sun Kingdom are here." Mark sighed in relief upon learning that the first step of his plan became successful. After sending another message to Alan, he went downstairs. There, he saw Song Yun sitting there and reading a newspaper. To make sure his identity stays safe, he kept his face hidden under the knight's helmet. Ahem. Clearing his throat to earn attention, Mark then said, "Guests from far away will arrive within a minute or two." "All right," Song Yun replied with writing in the air. Mark was a little bit surprised by that. He said, "Only 2 of us are here. You can talk." In response, Song Yun once again wrote in the air using ether energy. "There is a reason why ancients say even walls have ears. I don't need to risk it unless I fall in dire situations." Mark felt very weird to see a cautious attitude from Song Yun. After all, this was a guy who always does reckless things without thinking properly. Perhaps Song Yun changed a lot more than he expected to be. He wondered. Anyway, leaving the guy alone who is minding his own business, Mark opened the shutter and waited for the king of Eastern Sun and his aides to come into the store and have a chat with him. After a while, Alan brought Lan Jiang and a 12-year-old in king's robes with him, taking Mark by surprise. Since when could minors become kings in this world? In Phoenix Empire, they couldn't even be qualified to hold an official post. Mark couldn't help but inspect the details of the kid once more to confirm his identity. And a trace of joy could be seen on his face as he was staring at the holographic screen with details of Lu Zhen. No proper age, no parents, not first in the line and still became a king, huh? So, Lan Jiang might have been holding the real power. It is good news for me. Mark now felt that his chances to carry out his plan increased further. As they reached the entrance of the store, he took the initiative to formally greet them by cupping his fists and a slight bow. "Greetings, King Aoyang. Welcome to Genesis Weapon Store. It's been a while, Mr. Lan." "Likewise, Mr. Lu." While Lan Jiang kept it formal in order to hide their familial relationship, Aoyang Zhen gave a satisfactory response to Mark. "I have heard a lot about you from Guardian Lan, Mr. Lu." The kid returned the greetings with a smile on his face. He further added, "Your weapons, so-called firearms, are quite innovative." "Thank you," Mark nodded, and then looked at his great-granduncle. "Didn't you say that you have 3 companions, Mr. Lan?" Lu Zhen answered in place of the legendary realm expert. "It's my adopted sister and our general that tagged along with us. She doesn't have interest in the firearms and just came here for a tour." Since the girl was no use to him, Mark lost interest in the other 2 and focused on the kid standing before him. He welcomed them. "Please follow me to the upstairs." With his eyes wandering around the place, Lu Zhen followed Mark. He couldn't help but be amazed by the spacious interior, high-quality furniture, and cooling system. On the outside, it was like 30-ish centigrade, but here it was as cool as 18°C. He is only a low-level spirit warrior and wasn't immune to the temperature changes like Lan Zhen. His body is just like any other civilian. Hence, he liked it more than inside the tent. On the way, Lan Zhen and Lu Zhen saw the Black Knight, who rose to his feet and greeted them with a bow before getting back to reading the newspaper. Mark didn't stop to introduce Song Yun. He just passed off a comment that it is a guard he hired for his fiancée. Because of the absolute suppression within the store, neither Lan Zhen nor Lu Zhen could sense the cultivation of Black Knight, and they just continued to walk toward the staircase. Soon, they reached the first-floor residence and sat in the living room. He ordered the butler robot that is on standby to make some tea for the guests. "As you wish, master." The robot named R114 bowed and went to the kitchen. As it left, Mark started the conversation. "Okay, before I open up the topic as to why I have invited you for tea, let me ask you something, King Aoyang. What do you think of firearms?" Mr. Lan brought almost every type of weapon that is available in the store for the public. So, you must have a basic understanding of how they work. I want to know whether there are any firearms and explosives that will be suitable for your kingdom's army. Just give me an honest opinion." Lan Zhen stayed silent and let the kid give the reply on his own. Without thinking deeply, Lu Zhen answered, "If I should be honest as a king, firearms are too dangerous to even exist. They give power to the frustrated civilians to commit crimes, taking the law into their own hands instead of filing a complaint. They can also be misused to bring instability to the ruling of a kingdom or an empire. As for those big ones you paste outside, if they fall into the hands of someone without real power, it will give that person enough confidence to start a rebellion. I'm sorry, but I can't allow my citizens to own these weapons. There's already enough unrest in our kingdom. And personally, I like the M99, the one that can shoot targets from more than a kilometer away. But coming here, I realized that there are weapons that even have a higher range. Of all the firearms, the one named Tigan 5A impressed me the most. I would want to equip them with hidden guards of mine to keep an eye on my security even from 5 kilometers away. Apart from it, that huge warship is something needed for our naval defense. Our main focus will be these 2. Of course, we will be bidding for the PHZ 2000 thing, but I don't think our chances will be high." Mark didn't know whether this kid was already prepared with an answer beforehand or he answered on the spot, but for a moment, he felt like he was conversing with an adult, not a kid who probably just entered his puberty. While he wasn't happy with Lu Zhen's refusal to let him open a branch at Eastern Sun, he still maintained calmness on his face and further thanked him for being straightforward. Since the matter is over even before the tea arrived, Mark didn't know what else to speak further and stayed silent for a while. Lu Zhen also felt a bit awkward staying at the place after showing his stance on the firearms. Thankfully, Lan Zhen came to the rescue by bringing up a new topic of fire seed. "Yeah, I heard from the second prince." Mark admitted that he was aware of the seed of fire that was about to be born very soon. Lan Zhen then said, "Originally, according to our calculations, the elemental seed should have already been born by now, but it hasn't yet. I believe there will be more than one for the grabs." That statement surprised Mark. Twin elemental seeds. Either that or a stronger elemental seed. Lan Zhen didn't appear to be sure about it. Whatever the case, Emperor Shang should be careful. Not only does he need to make sure there won't be chaos due to the possible conflict between the powerful cultivators, but he also needed to be wary of the invasion from Beast Empire. Chapter 280.4, Expo 1783, Part 4. Sometime later, the tea is served to the guests while Aoyang Zhen is in the middle of narrating his own adventure at the Dragon Empire, which lies on the other side of the world from the Vermilion continent. As the strongest and the largest empire in the world, the Dragon Empire is indeed worth talking about. However, Mark was only interested in whether he can expand his business to the Dragon continent, nothing more than that. Taking a sip of tea from the cup, Aoyang Zhen's eyes widened in surprise and he looked at the robot in fascination and commented, "Mr. Lu, I have seen quite a few types of puppets in my life, but your puppets are quite unique." "Well, I call them robots." Mark felt happy with the praises even though he wasn't the one that made them. But to maintain modesty, he added, "They look good on the surface, but they have their own weaknesses." "But I guess you aren't interested to sell them?" Aoyang Zhen asked with a suspicion that there might be more to these robots than it appeared. "I mean, you certainly didn't put them for display like others." I didn't." Mark was visibly surprised by his statement. Then he realized that he forgot it due to the presence of other robots roaming around. Controlling his expression swiftly, he tried to use an excuse. "Well, they can't be categorized in either." Mark suddenly stopped speaking and stared in the direction of Song Yue's room as the door opened, and she stepped out alongside Elena. Both of them looked breathtakingly beautiful. More than their accessories and clothing, Mark was surprised about the hair. Usually, the women in the world basically have three different types of hairstyles. The first one is draped hair, the second one is braided hair, and the third one is bun hair. The three types of hairstyles were further developed into several variants across the centuries, but the fourth type never appeared before. And now, Elena transformed Song Yue's usual braided hair into a combination of ponytail and bangs fringe, a style that was completely Mark's type. The beige-colored hanfu only made her look like a next-door girl. Even on the day of their engagement ceremony when Song Yue was all dolled up, Mark wasn't moved a bit. But at present, suddenly Mark felt like his heart skipped a beat, and he couldn't keep his eyes off her as she walked toward him. Is it because of her appearance change, or is it because of the change of feelings over time? Mark has no idea. Fortunately, Elena's appearance was attractive enough to distract his attention and bring him back to his senses. As the ladies walked into the living room, Mark rose to his feet and introduced them to the guest and vice versa. While Aoyang Zhen was calm, Lan Jiang appeared to be surprised by Mark's relationship with Song Yue. He didn't know that they were engaged and now, in his opinion, she would also have to be involved in his plans. But did she know her Lu Zhen's birth story? Lan Jiang wondered. Soon, all of them left the store and went to the venue together. At the registration table, Shang Jiao continued to accompany Chang Bo as the latter registered a couple of names. The three guests saw Mark and immediately greeted him. Like others, they were also surprised to see a king's crown on a little kid, but they don't dare to question Mark or his aides. They directly went to the auction hall, as Aoyang Zhen was already done with the tour. While the number of registrations reached over 32, Mark found only 3 tables were occupied in the auction hall. Thinking that the remaining people were in other sections, inspecting the weapons, Mark continued to calmly escort Aoyang Zhen and Lan Jiang to the table. However, it wasn't the same case for the kid. He became furious all of a sudden, earning attention from everyone around by talking aloud right from the entrance of the auction hall. "General Ma." Mark and others looked at him. Meanwhile, Ma Ping, the general who was talking to a wealthy merchant, felt goosebumps just from hearing that angry tone of his king. He immediately got up and looked in the direction. "Your Majesty." "Where is Sister Rong?" Aoyang Zhen asked him. Taking a deep breath, General Ma Ping answered respectfully, "Your Majesty, Princess Zan has gone outside with Ms. Yuan Meili." Yuan Meili. Mark felt like he heard the name somewhere. Song Yue then patted his shoulder gently and commented with a bit of surprise on her face, Yuan clan sent the third daughter of Yuan Weishi or all the people. It looked like they were taking this auction rather seriously. Ah, so she's the one, huh? Song Yue's words made him remember the woman. She was the same person he briefly met at Second Prince's camp. He remembered Shang Wen telling him that the Yuan clan wants to marry off her to him. Meanwhile, Aoyang Zhen roared once again. Then, why in the hell are you staying here? You were supposed to protect her. Yes, but... The general hesitated to defend himself, making the kid only angrier. Lan Jiang stepped in to control the situation. He stepped forward and turned into a blurry figure, reaching the general in just a second. As the general took a step back in reflex, Lan Jiang gripped his shoulder tightly and asked the same question as the kid, "Ma Ping, where is she?" The general gulped his saliva and answered slowly, "The facility that is 2 blocks away. It's." Glancing at his surroundings, he leaned forward and whispered, "It's the public toilet. She is too embarrassed to let me follow her and too scared to go alone." "Ah, I see." Lan Jiang nodded in understanding. He returned to Aoyang Zhen and whispered the same. After all, it isn't something that can be talked about in public, especially when they are people standing at a higher social ladder. So, his hesitation could be understood. However, unlike Lan Jiang, the king of the Eastern Sun didn't try to understand the issue. He gestured his hand to come forward. And when the general reached the king, the latter gave an extreme cold gaze. "Tell me, General Ma, what job you were assigned." "To protect Princess Rong," replied the general while clearly displaying nervousness on his face. He didn't expect this kid would take this matter too seriously. Yang Zhen then asked, "And what are you doing now?" "I apologize, Your Majesty. I should have secretly followed her and kept an eye on her location from far away." The general no longer tried to defend himself and pleaded for forgiveness because, deep down, he knew that he might have unconsciously let her go away because of his issues with her late father. Since the general admitted the mistake, Aoyang Zhen didn't drag the matter further and directly gave the punishment. "After we return, you will clean the barracks alongside your subordinates for a day. Do you accept it?" General Ma Ping goes down on one knee and bowed. "I accept, Your Majesty." Chapter 281.5, Expo 1783, Part 5. "Okay, now, go." The kid sent him away before apologizing to Mark for making a ruckus in his place. Mark realized that this person is probably very precious to the kid that he had to outburst just because she disappeared. But then again, he can understand Aoyang Zhen. In his past life, Mark was also overprotective of his younger brother as he's the only living relative. Aoyang Zhen was also in a similar situation, although the different surnames clearly indicated that this Zhan Rong person is neither a member of the royal family, nor she is a biological sibling to Aoyang Zhen. Either way, she has nothing to do with the auction. Hence, her existence doesn't matter to Mark. He put away his thoughts and waved his hand with a smile on his face. "No worries, please come this way." As he escorted the both of them to their table, Mark felt a sharp gaze toward him. There was no killing intent, so he wasn't alerted and just glanced in the direction from the corner of his eyes. He saw the young man with an eye patch staring at him while continuously tossing a gold coin and catching it. Or maybe he was staring at the ladies beside him. Mark didn't know, but he won't accept it nicely if it is the latter. Since everyone except for Shang Fu, Shen Niu, and Aoyang Zhen are irrelevant, Mark didn't go his way to meet him and concentrated on the kid. "Okay, Mr. Lan, King Aoyang, the auction will start in 90 minutes. For the sake of fairness for every competitor, we will not engage further with anyone else. In the meantime, Elena will be here, and we have amazing delicacies prepared for you. I hope you didn't forget to leave a comment after finishing your lunch. I'll be leaving now, see you later." After ordering Alan to make rounds to see if everything is all right and Elena to take care of the welcoming, Mark was about to lead Song Yue to the waiting room, which is a part of the tent that covered the auction hall but has a separate entrance. And just he was walking away with his fiancée, Zhan Rong and Yuan Meili returned to the auction hall, walking toward table number 12, where the representatives of the Eastern Sun Kingdom were sitting. Mark suddenly halted his footsteps, and so was the ladies. His eyes fell on the 19-year-old girl who was a head shorter than him. Just for that moment, he felt like the whole world turned upside down. His eyes widely opened and wandered all over her face. The fair skin, long neck, striking emerald eyes, full and natural-looking eyebrows, upturned nose, full but downturned lips and heart-shaped face. Everything about her was too familiar to Mark. Perhaps the only different thing is that she's older than the person he remembers, and his heartbeat rose rapidly when he went through his memories from his past life. In a momentary shock, he couldn't control his voice and spoke loudly, "Mari." Zhanrong was startled for a moment, and so were the other two ladies. The girl then replied, "Mister, my name is Zhanrong." Mark's face was crestfallen all of a sudden, and he apologized right away. "I'm sorry. I mistook you for the wrong person. I'll be on my way." Without waiting for her reply, he left the place to go to the waiting room, hurrying his footsteps. Song Yue bowed to them and followed her fiancé with a bit of doubt in her head. She doesn't know why, but when he heard his voice quivering while speaking of the name Mari, she felt like there was a story to it, and she was anxious to know the truth. As a result, as soon as she entered the waiting room and saw Mark was sitting there with his head hung down, she asked right away, "Are you all right?" Mark raised his head and nodded as he controlled his expression. "Of course, why not?" "Is this Mari your friend?" Song Yue was hopping not to hear an answer like she is a former lover or something similar as she asked him, and Mark didn't disappoint her either. "Not exactly," he replied while forcing out a smile before adding, "Marina was friends with Alan actually. I mean, not the one you know. It's my younger brother, someone who was like my younger brother. I was just shocked to see her when there's no way she can be here." After hearing Mark's words, Song Yue somehow got a strong feeling that the original Alan Spencer might not be alive. Probably, something happened in the past and he died. That's why Mark named a high-quality puppet after his younger brother-like person. As for the smile on Mark's face, she was confident that it was a fake one. After staying with him for several weeks, she could easily see through his fake expressions that appear real at one glance. That means Mark must not be in a good mood, while remembering his loved ones who passed away. Forming her own theory in her mind, Song Yue felt a little bit guilty and apologized. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked." Mark waved his hands. "No, I should be the one to apologize. You must have been really surprised." "Well, not really." Song Yue looked away, not intending to admit that she was damn anxious a while ago. She then quickly changed away the topic. "Anyway, I have been wondering about something for a while. It's regarding the exhibition." "What is it?" asked Mark. Song Yue then said, "Firearms might have been acknowledged as official weaponry, but the bidders won't know how they work practically. We have neither allotted a separate space for the demonstration. Can they really spend thousands of gold coins on the things they can't trust? Moreover, your reputation among the leaders of the major clans isn't that great, to be honest. I'm not sure whether they will bid at all." "That's a good question." Mark nodded with a smile and then explained his strategy. "You see, Song Yue, I never have any intention of selling them to those clan leaders from the start. My target is selling the vehicles to those independent kings and Emperor Shang. The advanced weapons are for the wealthy merchants to sell them elsewhere. That's why I purposely put away the demonstrations." "Then, why did you go to such lengths to even invite them in the first place?" Song Yue didn't understand his thoughts on this move. To invite them, he had to write a letter to the emperor and request him to bring them to the venue. It can't be that he just brought them for his own amusement, right? Song Yue wondered as Mark didn't answer and just smiled in response. Meanwhile, inside the auction hall, Aoyang Zhen was in deep thoughts while staring at Zhanrong, who was listening to her new friend, Yuan Meili. To connect with the 19-year-old girl, Yuan Meili was displaying all of her knowledge regarding marine life. As a result, Zhanrong was completely hooked on the conversation and couldn't even feel Aoyang Zhen's gaze on her. Lu Zhen called her Mari earlier. Is this really a coincidence? I remember Grandpa telling me that her real name is Marina Zan and her people have surnames at the end. Perhaps, if her memories were intact, she wouldn't have been Zan wrong. Either way, I should confirm with him after this auction is over and find her family. Chapter 282.6, Expo 1783, Part 6. It is around 12:30, and almost every guest who arrived at the venue was sitting in the auction hall at their respective tables. The VIPs were given separate tables for themselves at the front, while wealthy individuals or uninvited guests had to share them with others at the back. Some were finished with lunch, some were chatting while drinking wine, and some were still in the middle of eating. Dozens of robots were catering to their needs, and almost everyone appeared to be impressed with the hospitality. Of course, some people were envious and nothing can be done about them. At table number 3, which is quite near to the podium, the representatives of Western Moon Kingdom were sitting together with the uninvited representatives of Kun Empire. From Western Moon, King Shen Niu arrived with Prime Minister Zhu Jianhong, Princess Shen Ling, and a general. And from Kun Empire, Envoy Hu Tian and Crown Prince Qin Yu tagged along with them. Originally, Hu Tian requested the fourth prince, Qin Zhai, to tag along with him in order to cement a relationship with the Western Moon Kingdom, but at the last minute, the Crown Prince volunteered for the job and replaced his brother. Despite being the Crown Prince of the Kun Empire, Qin Yu has considerably less support from either the officials or the masses when compared with his younger brother. Of course, the reasons aren't that illogical either. Qin Yu is 49 years old, and Qin Zhai is 27. Qin Yu is only a 4-circle spirit warrior, clearly not a talented one. On the other hand, Qin Zhai is considered a genius with a cultivation realm at the peak stage of the 6-circle realm. Qin Yu married 6 times but failed to produce a single child so far. Some citizens are under an impression that he is impotent, while others believed that he is cursed by the heavens. Qin Yu's mother, the first empress, already passed away due to a heart stroke, and at present, Qin Zhai's mother is the empress. There are other reasons as well, but those 4 are enough for him to lag behind the 4th prince. As the Emperor of Kun is also getting too old, Qin Yu was desperately looking for opportunities. So when he heard about the firearms from his loyal spies, he decided to form his own separate army. He doesn't have an interest in those panzers or howitzers. He was more interested in the weapons that can easily be carried with them, and yet has enough destructive power. Some of the products caught his eye, and he was intending to acquire the weapons and their rights no matter the price. Creating a state-controlled common adventurer guild for all professions is indeed better than letting several private guilds emerge one after another. However, it wasn't enough just to convince the guild branches existing in the empire. If you don't provide enough incentives, you will only witness the migration of the adventurers. And of course, there's the problem with rising corruption by state officials. Shen Ling was expressing her views to Qin Yu, who asked her opinion about the reform, which the Crown Prince was trying to make but not getting support for to make it a reality. While they were in the middle of a discussion to pass the time, Mark and Song Yue entered the auction hall together alongside the Black Knight, earning the attention of everyone who was waiting. Upon stepping on the podium, Mark stood silently beside Song Yue as the latter addressed everyone with a smile on her face. "Welcome to Expo 1783. My name is Song Yue, and I'm your host for the auction. Nice to meet you." Upon taking a sound augmentation pill, which is available in every alchemy store, Song Yue's voice output became high enough to every corner of the auction hall. Clap, clap, clap. A few leaders of the major clans started clapping in support. The other followed with light claps. Song Yue then continued, "Before we begin, let me start with the rules. As it was described in the details you found in the weapons hall, every item that will be auctioned is going to be sold in mass numbers, along with the rights for 1 year. Once a bidder bought the rights, during the next year, only that relevant party will be qualified to buy those special weapons from our store or any branches we will open in the future. Adding on top of that, there's a minimum assured order for each item. That means whether there is a delay in the order or not, the store will guarantee to provide the minimum number during the time period that the contract will hold on. Now, coming to the bidding process, each of you was given a token. The bidder will only have to raise that wooden paddle to raise the bid. Each item has a buyout price, which is basically 10 times the price of the starting bid. One can directly go for a buyout and win the bid. However, if there are multiple bidders interested in the buyout, then the bidding will start from that buyout price, although only for the ones who express their interest at the very start. If missed an opportunity at the start for whatever reason, then it is your loss. And everyone should understand that the auction was only for the rights. The bidder should still pay additionally for the items after winning the bid. Lastly, the auction is divided into 2 phases. The first phase is the auction of the exclusive items that have a 1-year protection period. We talked about that earlier. And the second phase is auctioning the vehicles displayed outside. Each one has a different protection period. Without further ado, let's begin the auction for the firearms. Looking at Song Yue finished her introductory speech without stuttering or making any mistake. Mark nodded with a smile and then took out the first item from his inventory. Meanwhile, at the weapons hall, a few people were still roaming around to check out the weapons, and Alan was standing there, waiting for the order. Upon receiving the message from Mark, he touched a weapon that looked like a pistol, and it disappeared. He then loudly announced to the remaining people, "Attention everyone, the auction was started. Please proceed to the auction hall if you don't want to miss it." Some people ignored him while others rushed out. Alan didn't care either way. His only job is to remove the items from the display as soon as the bidding starts and remind the potential bidders about the auction. Back at the auction hall, Mark placed the item on the desk placed before them, and Song Yue proceeded with the explanation. The first item to be auctioned is the machine pistol named Tigan 1. Everyone must have already seen the details at the weapons hall. Hence, sparing the details, we will go to the auction directly. The item's price is 35 gold coins per piece. The number to be sold on the spot is 50, and the minimum assured order is about 10,000 in 1 year. The starting bid is 1,000 gold coins, and the buyout price for 1-year rights is 10,000 gold coins. Those who are interested in the buyout, please raise the respective token paddles in the next 30 seconds. Thank you. Chapter 283.7, Expo 1783, Part 7. Mark took out his pocket watch and started the timer. The majority of the bidders were silent, while some merchants were discussing with their partners whether it is worth bidding for the buyout or not. The price of the machine pistol is only 35 gold coins, but its buyout price is 10,000 gold coins. Even if this amount isn't much for these wealthy merchants, they will still have to worry about the profits they were gonna make by selling these firearms to people living in faraway places. The clock is ticking, but no one raised the paddle, making Song Yue a bit nervous. After all, this is the first item, and she wants to go everything smooth despite the fact that the machine pistol, Tigan 1, can only be useful for civilians or low-level adventurers. On the other hand, Mark was calm. After registering all 8 weapons and earning about 30,000 credits, which is equivalent to 150,000 gold coins, he can afford to buy a model with his own money but through Changbo or Song Yue. So, whether they are sold or not, it won't bother him much as long as the big vehicles were sold at an exorbitant price. The countdown reached the last 10 seconds, and no one raised it yet, with merchants deciding to go with the bidding. Mark also thought the same, and he was waiting for the countdown timer to finish. However, when there were only 3 seconds left, a paddle with blue token number 3 was raised. Mark's eyes fell on the princess who bid for the buyout. A trace of surprise appeared on a few merchants who were eyeing the machine pistol, but wanted to go for the bidding to acquire the rights for a lower price. But before they got the chance to discuss further, the time is up, and Mark pressed the little button on top of the pocket watch. The buyout time is over. Song Yue's face changed, and a pleasant smile appeared on her face as she strikes down the hammer. Sold. Congratulations. Number 3 on purchasing the rights to buy Tigan 1. Elena, who was on standby until now, made her move. She walked to the table where the representatives of Western Moon and Kun Empire were sitting together and handed a contract. Before starting the auction, Elena has already distributed dip pens and inks to each table, so it would be easy for the bidders to think until the end and sign whenever they wanted to. While Mark took out the second item from the inventory and placed it on the table, Princess Shen Ling read the contract. The deal costs her an overall amount of 11,750 gold coins, to which she will receive the first batch of Tigan 1 and 1-year rights to purchase them again. She signed the contract and placed it aside. It needed Mark's signature too for the contract to come into effect, and that will only happen after she handed him the money, and he handed him those 50 machine pistols. But as this won't be the last time she will bid, she decided to deal with everything at the end of the auction. Back to the podium, Song Yue became a bit more excited as she announced the next product. Now, it's time for the second weapon of the Tigan series to be auctioned. Also known as the Executioner, this big-sized revolver can shoot shotgun pellets that are powerful enough to take out even a 3-circle spirit warrior if one's aim is perfect. You can say that it is a compact version of a shotgun, which was a level 2 exclusive weapon of our store. Due to its considerable small size despite its high firepower, it can be hidden in sleeves and is a perfect weapon to protect oneself in case of a sudden ambush. The price of Tigan 2 is 75 gold coins apiece, and the number to be sold on the spot is 100. The minimum assured order is about 5,000 in 1 year. The starting bid is 1,000 gold coins, and the buyout price is 10,000 gold coins. You have 30 seconds to make the decision. Mark pressed the button once again. This time, the bidders didn't waste time like before, especially the merchants. The first one to raise the paddle was a merchant named Wang Ping, who deals in alchemy products like potions and pills. As soon as he showed interest, the other merchants who wanted to wait until the end had to raise their respective paddles too. Lu Zhen and some of the major clan leaders showed interest in the weapon. As for Emperor Shang, he was only interested in 3 things. Until the auction gets to that point, he planned to stay as a spectator. In the meantime, he was cursing Mark inside his head for pouring the water on his hard work. Shang Fu tried to eliminate the competition and reduce the possible bidding price by making deals amongst them on who will bid on what product. Grand Secretariat Li also planned to use the clan leaders as proxies on different items so that the good ones would fall into the hands of the Imperial Palace. Since Mark had already sent him a list of the auctioned items in the special invitation letter, Shang Fu thought that he can make full use of this information. But how in the world could he expect that Mark would not only invite the Eastern Sun Kingdom, but even a prince of Kun Empire will also crash at the event? Now, only Western Moon Kingdom isn't the only thing that Shang Fu needed to worry about. Adding on top of that, Mark put high starting bids and buyout prices for every item. All these things added up and only made it tougher for Shang Fu. But since he could do nothing about it, Shang Fu proceeded to discuss things with the Grand Secretariat who joined him alongside Bai Zun. As for the second prince, he didn't tag along with them as he wasn't comfortable with playing mind games. An auction isn't a place where people throw money to get what they want. It's all about playing smart to acquire the items at a price that's worth paying for it. Anyway, back to the bidding, one after another. A paddle was raised every 3 to 4 seconds even for the buyout, indicating that there was going to be tough competition between them. Mark couldn't help but smile in excitement. His eyes wandered all over the place to identify the bidders. And when he was done with the scanning, his eyes fell on the Princess of Western Moon, who appeared to be grabbing the paddle but not raising it. Mark stared at his pocket watch and there were only 10 seconds left. Just like previously, he expected her to participate in the bidding, but sadly, she put the paddle down on the table in the end. Upon witnessing it, Mark stopped paying attention to her and focused on the bidders. Meanwhile, at table number 3. Why, that weapon looks worth procuring. King Shen Niu was confused by the princess' decision to not bid for the item. Shen Ling shook her head and replied, "They are worth the price, but it is considered foolish to spend so much on them." Prince Chin Yu couldn't understand her. He said, "Just now, you bought those worthless things for 10,000 gold coins." "You will have to wait for a while, Prince Chin." Shen Ling let out a mysterious smile and then shifted her attention back to Mark. As the 30-second timer is over, Song Yue found 11 bidders. She spoke, "Okay, the buyout timer is finished. The further bidding will only be participated by numbers 1, 6, 8, 12, 15, 19, 26, 28, 32, 41, and 59. The bidding will start at 10,000 gold coins, and each bid is raised by 500 gold coins. Now, you may raise the paddle to increase the bid." As soon as her words ended, a paddle was raised. Mark took a glance in the direction. He saw Aoyang Zhen raise the paddle, but his attention was quickly stolen by the girl sitting beside him. Since he missed the chance earlier to identify her, Mark inspected her details through Sage's eyes. A trace of surprise appeared on his face as he stared at the holographic screen that is floating in the air. "Mari, Lyra, what the hell is going on?" Chapter 284.8, Expo 1783, Part 8. Zan Rong. Aliases: Marina Zan Lyra Erxador. Race: human. Age: 19. Rank: 5 Circle Peak Stay. Spirit Path: mage. Attribute: wood. Affiliation: the Eastern Sun Kingdom, Ixodus Empire, Eurasian Federation. Description: Marina Zan, a native to Earth 192, was one of the summoned heroes of the Ixodus Empire and went by the name Lyra Erxador. Due to some reason, she has lost her memory. She's currently living as an adopted sister of Aoyang Zhen, the king of Eastern Sun. Ding, you triggered a hidden quest. Awaken the memories of Zan Rong. She's Mari, the one I was familiar with. The fact that she's affiliated with Eurasian Federation clearly shows that she didn't just have an identical name and appearance. But I thought I'm from another universe. Even if I assume that we are actually in some random galaxy, which was thought to be a universe by the inhabitants with superpowers because of its enormous size, just what are the odds that we ended up on the same planet where there might be millions of planets with life? There's clearly something going on that is beyond my understanding. How did Mari end up in this world? According to the description, she was summoned into this world unlike how I transmigrated. Is this a great coincidence or the work of some powerful god? Whatever the case, I might be able to get a clue for the way to return to my Earth if I unlock her memories. Even if this body is Lu Zhen's, I can still check out how Alan is doing out there. I could also take my revenge on those traitorous bastards that betrayed me and the mafia group that tortured me for 5 years. With the superpowers I possess, it will be a piece of cake. Mark, let's not go too far. Everything can be handled over time, but for now, I need to focus on the present. By the time Mark came out of his thoughts, the bidding for Taigen II Executioner has already reached 17,000 gold coins, and yet, the bidding war doesn't seem to be slowing down. As the bidding went on, Song Yue sounded more and more confident. She looked as if she had years of experience in hosting an auction. 17,500, number 12. Oh, number 41 joined the bidding once again. Welcome back. Current bid is 18,000, everyone. Looking for 18,500, anyone. Number 6 bids 18,500. Number 19 bids 19,000. Number 1 bids 19,500. Number 19 bids 20,000. Sometime later. Number 41 bids 47,500. Number 19, do you wish to continue? Number 19 gives up. I'm looking for 48,000, anyone. 47,500 once. 47,500 twice. Number 32 bids 48,000. Number 41 bids 48,500. Number 32 bids 49,000. Number 41 bids 49,500. Number 32 bids 50,000. From here on, the bid will raise by 1,000 gold coins. Anyone up for 51,000? Number 41 bids for 51,000. I'm now looking at 52,000. Number 32. Number 32 gives up. Anyone else is willing to rejoin. 51,000 once, 51,000 twice sold. Congratulations, number 41 on purchasing the rights to buy Taigan 2. Wang Ping was the first to raise the paddle and expressed his interest in buying the rights, and in the end, he became the winner too. He appeared to be elated as Elena brought him the contract. Some people thought that he was foolish. Some people were envious of his wealth. Some didn't care, and some felt that Wang Ping might have been aiming at only one item. Of them, Shen Ling belongs to the first category. As soon as the item was sold, she revealed her reasoning to Prince Qin Yu for why she didn't express her interest. It's because of shotgun. As a person who made a complete investigation about Mark and his store, Shen Ling knew that one can buy any number of shotguns as soon as their overall purchases cross 10k gold coins. So that means he wasted 50k gold coins for nothing. Qin Yu was taken aback upon hearing her words. Kun Empire might be rich, but 50k gold coins were in no way considered cheap to even the emperor, much less a powerless prince like Qin Yu. He couldn't help but take a glance in the direction of a foolishly grinning merchant, and then at the others who also participated in the bidding war. There's clearly something wrong with the heads of these guys. Prince Qin Yu was under the impression that merchants of the Phoenix Empire were idiots. They aren't as rich as the merchants from his empire, but they squander too much money on worthless things. However, soon, he realized that he underestimated them a lot. 116,000 once, twice, sold. Congratulations, number 32 on purchasing the rights to Taigan 3. 27,500 once, twice, sold. Congratulations, number 7 on purchasing the rights to Taigan 4. 68,000 once, twice, sold. Congratulations, number 14 on purchasing the rights to Taigan 5. 46,000 once, twice, sold. Congratulations, number 26 on purchasing the rights to Taigan 1A. 258,000 once, twice, sold. Congratulations, number 9 on purchasing the rights to Taigan 2A. For more than an hour, the whole auction was owned by the merchants. The leaders of all the major clans and even the kings from foreign lands had to admit defeat in front of the resilience displayed by the merchants who stopped playing smart as the items were being sold one after another. And then Mark took out a weapon, which is sought by almost everyone in the room. Behold one of our prized possessions, Taigan 5A, a sniper rifle that has the ability to shoot the targets from as far as 5 kilometers away with great accuracy. Song Yue was aware that everyone in the room had knowledge about the weapon, but she still couldn't help but remind them of the special feature in order to heat up the competition even more. 270 gold coins per piece, 100 of them in upfront, and 10,000 for minimum assured order. The starting bid is 25,000 gold coins, and the buyout price is 250,000. And just like she expected to be, as soon as the buyout timer started, more than 13 people showed interest, which made her realize that these people indeed have more wealth than several major clans. But the surprise didn't end there. For the first time, Shang Fu personally raised the paddle, and at the same time, Shen Ling refuses to participate in the race, guessing that the end result will cross 500,000 gold coins. Well, she turned out to be right. For a while, the competition was healthy between everyone, but once it crossed 500k, the wealthy merchants stopped bidding one after another as they found it is too much. In the end, 2 bidders were left. Both of them are representing their people, and neither wanted to give up. In the end, it became a battle of pride. After a fierce bidding war between Shang Fu and Aoyang Zhen, the sniper rifle has fallen into the hands of the Eastern Sun Kingdom for an exorbitant price of 870,000 gold coins. If not for the fact that the Grand Secretariat, Li Zhengkang, convinced Shang Fu to give up for the sake of the other item, the bidding would have reached even 1 million. Seeing how his plan worked on milking the money from this bunch of richy riches, Mark now couldn't help but raise his expectations for the next set of items. Adding on top of that, he was also feeling proud of himself while watching the weapons he designed being sought by so many bidders. The auction continued with Chimera SGM making its appearance. It is the first weapon Mark designed in the body of Lu Zhen, and he expected it to cross 1 million. Unfortunately, he had to face up with a minor setback as the quadra-barreled gun only ended up being sold for 327,000 gold coins. Mark then put up his bets on the final item of the firearms section, the only ether weapon sold by his store, the ether pistol. Because it is a one-of-a-kind weapon that is powerful enough to shoot targets with ether bullets of peak 2 circle strength, he had his hopes up. However, once again, the result disappointed him as the weapon was sold for only 56,000 gold coins. Mark was a little bit disappointed as the last 2 results didn't meet his expectations. To cool off his head, he announced a 15-minute break before auctioning the next set of items. He and Song Yue left for the waiting room to take a rest, leaving behind Elena, who ordered the robots to serve wine or tea to the guests. Chapter 285.9, Expo 1783, Part 9. As Song Yun stood as a guard at the entrance of the waiting room to make sure no one disturbs his daughter and son-in-law, both of them took their seats and started drinking water. Mark then collapsed on the sofa and fell into deep thoughts. Okay, so far, I earned about 1,773,500 gold coins only from the rights, and all of that belongs to me. The system would gain nothing because it doesn't have any authority over the rights. Since I only became richer from this event, I don't need to feel stressed about the biddings that didn't meet my expectations. Wait a second. If I add the weapon sales then, it will be over 2 million gold coins, correct? If I had to give away 2% of my income to Song Yue then, I should already give more than 40,000 gold coins to her. And what about the remaining items? If it will cross 10 million, I might have to give more than 200,000 gold coins to her. After getting the lifetime settlement, what if she cancels the engagement and moves out? I would rather marry her than let her get away with so much money. Damn, should I just go back on my word? While he had a good impression of Song Yue and fairly likes her to the extent of developing a casual relationship, if such a huge amount of money comes into the equation, unfortunately, it changes his perception. It's not that Mark was a slave of money. His body, Lu Zhen loves it too much since his childhood, and the greed for gold is ingrained in his bones so deeply that Mark couldn't fight against that temptation. Perhaps, if Song Yue's relationship with Mark is as strong as Elena or Alan, he wouldn't have these thoughts, but at the moment, he doesn't have any strong reason to give away so much amount of money to Song Yue just so that he continuously keep her by his side. As Mark was trapped in a dilemma on whether to go back on his word or give up such huge amount of money, Song Yue opened her mouth as she took the seat beside him. Lu Zhen, can I say something? Because of the sound augmentation pill, she spoke almost as if she was whispering to him. And that appeared loud enough for Mark to return to reality from his deep thoughts. He looked at her. What is it? You told me that you will give me a 2% share of the earnings even from this auction, but it looks like the overall amount is a lot more than I imagined, replied Song Yue in a firm tone. She added, I'm sure that you will also honor your promise even though I didn't work hard to receive such an amount. However, having too much amount of money might have an adverse impact on my mind. I want to continue our relationship just like how it always has been. Mark was taken aback by her response. He didn't expect Song Yue to talk about the same topic that's been bugging him right now. At the same time, he got a strong feeling that his fiancée doesn't want the money. What do you mean? Say it clearly. Looking straight into his eyes, Song Yue answered without any hesitation in her eyes. For the sake of my mental health, I don't wish to take the promised 2% share from this expo. You don't want it. Mark was shocked. He reminded her immediately, once this is over, you might earn more than 100,000 gold coins, you know. I know, Song Yue nodded firmly. Seeing that the lady doesn't have an interest in the money, Mark felt ashamed of himself for giving more importance to money. And then, as Song Yue closed her eyes and take a short nap, He stared at her beautiful face. His heart skipped a beat once again. In the end, he sighed inwardly. If only we get engaged under different circumstances. Sometime later, Mark and Song Yue returned to the auction hall after the short break. He found almost half of the tables were emptied. He doesn't know why they left when they can still try their luck with Panzer, but then again, the three main clients were there. The others only existed to see his earnings and get jealous or admire him. He didn't dwell on it much and continued to walk to the podium. Clearing her throat, Song Yue greeted everyone with a smile on her face. Welcome to the second phase of Expo 1783. As we earlier mentioned, the weapons in this phase will have separate protection periods, and there won't be buyouts. Due to their sizes, we cannot display the next set of items here and will only speak of the name. And let me also inform you that you wouldn't need to pay all the money upon signing the contract. As long as you pay at least 20% of the bidding fee, a preliminary contract can be signed for the main contract. And then, you will 1 week of time to pay the remaining 80% amount, along with the original payment for the items in bulk. If you chose such option and then fail to pay the amount within the time, the contract will turn void, and that 20% upfront amount will not be returned to the customer. It will be treated as compensation for causing a loss. Secondly, you can also choose to pay with ether crystals instead of gold coins. However, only high-quality crystals will be accepted, and each such crystal of 10-carat size will be equivalent to 1,000 gold coins. We won't accept weapons or any other items as a replacement for gold coins, no matter what kind of grade they are in. Please keep this set of rules in mind as we proceed with the auction. Our next item to be auctioned is the Panzerkampffugenei, or you can call it Panzerei by short. Before we start the bidding, let me inform you that this weapon is already sold to several parties. Hence, the auction won't be for its rights. However, we can block further orders for the next 3 months. This auction is for a total of 1,000 vehicles. Of them, 50 will be given at first as soon as the contract is signed. And within 3 months, i.e., 12 weeks of time, the remaining 950 vehicles will be delivered to the customer. Each Panzer cost 500 gold coins, so their total worth is about 500,000 gold coins. So, we'll start the bid with 500,000 gold coins, and each bid will be raised by 5,000. Let the auction begin. 505, 510, 515, 645, 650, 785, 790, 905, 910, 965. From the start, a fierce battle emerged between Shen Ling and Shang Fu. However, the Princess of Western Moon isn't keen on spending too much additional money on panzers just so that 1,000 can be delivered to the kingdom in a quick time. She only thought of playing with Shang Fu, trying to spend his money. But then, as she was about to stop at 800k, Prince Qin Yu told her to procure them at all costs, and he will be paying from his pockets. Since Qin Yu didn't know whether he could get back those aircraft with him or not, but he thought of at least buy 1,000 panzers to prepare his own army. Each one of them might be only powerful enough to take out 3 circle spirit warriors, but when 1,000 of them attack at the same time, he could basically turn around the tide of war. All he needed are just civilian soldiers who are expendable. As a result, Shen Ling continued with her bidding. 965 once twice, Ting sold. Congratulations, number 3 on purchasing 1,000 panzers. Eventually, Shang Fu backed down as he could afford to wait for 3 months to order panzers. He had 100 million gold coins worth of deal with Mark in case the latter helps him to acquire the fire seed. Hence, Emperor Shang felt like he can order them later. Meanwhile, Mark once again felt elated on selling the panzers, almost at double the price. He gestured for Elena to hand over the contract to Shen Ling, while sending a message to Alan through the system about removing the panzer from the display. Song Yue nodded in happiness for Mark and continued. The next item to be auctioned is a light multi-role vehicle. We call it Iveco LMV. Each piece costs 2,500 gold coins and has a protection period of 6 months. While the minimum assured order is 1,000 in number, you will be bidding for 100 of them, worth 250k gold coins. The starting bid for 6 months of rights is 100,000 gold coins, and each bid is raised by 5,000. The whole hall became silent for a while. Chapter 286.1, Expo 1783, Part 10. When compared to Panzer, Iveco LMV looks more stylish. It has more speed. It has more range. It houses more crew members. It has a remote-controlled weapon station like FLW, equipping a 20mm gun which is able to shoot 360 degrees to as far as 1,000 meters. Unfortunately, it lacks proper armor and firepower for the price it was being sold for. Well, at the very least for these rulers who were looking for practical applications, this vehicle doesn't hold much value. Hence, the reluctance to bid for the item. The silence from everyone disappointed Mark, a little bit. But then again, he doesn't have much expectation, to begin with. After all, even he thinks that the system is ridiculous to put such a huge price for the military vehicle that he plans on using for only traveling. Mark's greed to earn more money forced him to keep the bidding price and the bulk selling amount high. He thought some foolishly rich customers will pay for it, but no paddles were raised in the air. Glancing at the pocket watch, Mark inwardly sighed and prepared himself to announce unsold. However, it appears that his 7 points of luck are still in action. At the last second, one paddle raised just like with the machine pistol, but this time it belongs to someone Mark never expected it to be. Yuan Menzi bid for the item, making his cousin furrow her brows in displeasure. Like Mark, Song Yue also thought that it will go unsold when she saw that no one raised the paddle, and now that there is one bidder, a smile bloomed across her face as she announced, 100,000 gold coins no 19. 105,000 anyone. Last call, 100,000 once twice, sold. Congratulations, number 19 on purchasing the rights to Iveco LMV for the next 6 months. As the people around clapped for his win, Yuan Meili whispered in a sharp tone as if she was scolding, 100,000 gold coins for the rights and 250,000 gold coins for the items. Do you even know what you have done? You have used 30% of treasury over those things. In response, Yuan Menzi abruptly turned his head and looked at her coldly. Yuan Meili, I'll just say it once again. Don't dare to question my actions. Yuan Meili flinched as she looked at his face. She couldn't help but look down at the floor and curse at him inwardly. This damn bastard. He is bound to destroy our clan sooner or later if he stays as the clan head. I need to think of something to take him out. To make him an enemy of the imperial family, I need to make him hurt Shang Jiao. That boy appears to be close with the princess. If something happens to him and that blame goes onto Yuan Menzi's head, then Shang Jiao will attack him and gets hurt in return as she was no match for him. But at the same time, Yuan clan cannot make an enemy out of Lu Zhen. I need to be careful to make my move. While Yuan Meili was busy with her thoughts on bringing down her cousin, Song Yue announced the next item to be auctioned, making everyone alert. Now, it is time for the top third item of this event. Panzerhaubitze 2000, or simply PZH 2000, is one of the most powerful modern weapons manufactured to date. I guess that all of you might have been aware of its abilities, but let me give you a brief insight into the item. PZH 2000 is a type of self-propelled weapon called a howitzer. It is just like Panzer, but is used to shoot targets from as far as 30 kilometers away. For the ammunition part, you will need a 155mm caliber one called SM Art 155, a guided artillery shell that is powerful enough to take out everyone under 7 circle with ease. Now, each vehicle costs 5,000 gold coins, and each SM Art 155 costs just 100 gold coins. We are offering 50 such vehicles and 1,000 SM Art 155 rockets in this auction. Adding on top of that, there will be a 1 year of protection period. The minimum assured order in the next 12 months of time will be 500 such vehicles and 10,000 rockets. The starting bid is 1 million gold coins, and each bid is raised by 100,000. You have 60 seconds to think. After that, we will proceed with the bidding. Neither the clan leaders nor the wealthy merchants had the money to bid for the item. Even though Song Yue mentioned that they only need to pay 20% to book the contract and pay the remaining 80% within a week to finalize it, none of them was daring enough to step forward. And in the end, just like how Mark wanted it to be, the bidding war between Shang Fu, Shen Niu, and Aoyang Zhen started. The 12-year-old kid might be against the weapons, but even he couldn't help but agree that PZH 2000 will surely improve his kingdom's military might to a whole another level. Of course, at the same time, he was also aware that a stable economy in the kingdom is more important be a military superpower. So, he limited his funds to 10-12 million for this. Sometime later, 4.6 million no 3, 4.7 million number 12, 4.8 million no 25. 7.8 million no 12, 7.9 million no 25, 8 million no 12, 8.1 million no 3. 10.6 million no 3, 10.7 million no 25, 10.8 million no 3, 10.9 million no 25. 14.5 million no 25, 14.6 million no 3. 14.6 million once twice sold. Congratulations, number 3 on purchasing the 12 months of rights of PZH 2000. In the end, the howitzer fell into the hands of King Shen Niu for a price that shocked Mark to the core. What kind of amount is 14.6 million gold coins? With such an amount, he can even run his own kingdom. Not to mention, there are 2 more products that needed to be auctioned. By the end of the expo, how rich Mark is going to be. Will he become the richest individual in Vermilion Bird Continent? And what if he converts to credits? He could not only upgrade the missile defense system again, but he might be able to max some of its stats. His fortune graph is sure going to have an exponential curve today. Mark was trying his best to not show his excitement on the outside, and kept a poker face while clenching his fists tightly and releasing them. As for the clan leaders, some were envious of Mark, some were filled with admiration, and 2 guys appeared to be in regret. One is Lin Wang, who distanced himself and Lin Zhu from the Genesis weapon store because of the pressure from the Song clan. 2 is Song Chang, the new patriarch of the Song clan who didn't attempt to smooth things with Mark after the imprisonment of Song Yun. Now, both of them felt like they should do something to get into Mark's good books. Meanwhile, Song Yue didn't appear to be that affected by the situation. She didn't have an ounce of regret for her decision on rejecting the 2% share, and only felt happy for her fiancé. She then continued with auctioning the next item, showing great enthusiasm as usual. The top second item of the event is Light Combat Aircraft, Yak 130, or you can call it LCA or Yak 130 for short. As we cautioned on the board with details placed at the aircraft, you need to build at least a 600-meter-long runway or a straight road made of asphalt, and other things for it to fly safely into the sky or descend onto the earth without any complications. If you don't build them, Genesis Weapon Store is by no means responsible for any harm to either the pilot or the vehicle. Each LCA is worth 50,000 gold coins, and we are offering 20 of them in the event. Along with aircraft, there will be 100 R-73 missiles, 100 S-13 rockets, and 100 S-25 rockets. The minimum assured order is 100 aircraft and 500 of each type of missile, but the protection period is for only 5 months or 20 weeks. Of course, the pilot training will also be provided for free, although only for one selected person. The starting bid is the same as earlier, 1 million gold coins, and each bid is raised by 100,000. At table number 3. Father, we have roughly 4 million left. I don't think that we can win this bid, Shen Ling whispered to King Shen Niu. Before Shen Niu reacted, Prince Qin Yu said, "Not an issue, King Shen. I still have more than 20 million in my inventory. We can still bid for it." Shen Ling never wanted the Western Moon Kingdom to owe Kun Empire, so her father doesn't want to do something that the Northern Empires in the future. It was why she rejected the idea of taking their help in acquiring the aircraft, and forced her father to take a loan of 15 million from the bank. The other 5 million was taken from the treasury. But after coming here and witnessing the atmosphere in the auction hall, she realized that even those 20 million might not be enough to acquire the aircraft. Hence, she changed the target to howitzers, which she can own it completely. Now that she won it, she was more relaxed, knowing that she secured a weapon to protect her land from the enemies like the Church of Doom. However, the Crown Prince of the Kun Empire doesn't want to go back with just panzers. He wants to acquire 10 of those 20 aircraft. The princess knew that. Hence, she decided not to eye any aircraft and purely bid for the sake of Qin Yu. This way, instead of her father owing to the Kun Empire, it would be the other way. On the other hand, she would get the right to purchase them individually, without spending a single gold coin. Chapter 287, Expo 1783, Final. Having lost the bidding war twice, Emperor Shang was now more than ever fixated on winning the aircraft no matter the cost. Just like with the howitzer, only Shang Fu, Auyang Zhen, and Shen Ling bid for Yak 130. And just like the previous bidding war, Auyang Zhen was the first to exit as the price crossed 12 million. However, neither Shang Ling nor Shang Fu looked like they were going to stop. Soon, the price raised to 15 million, then 16, and then 17 without any pause. Mark's heartbeat was also beating at its peak in excitement. He felt like he will pass out due to a blood rush at any moment. The clan leaders just stared at their emperor in a daze as the price crossed 20 million, which is more worth than the entire 12 major clans' net worth combined. Meanwhile, Qin Yu was getting nervous as they only have 4 million left to bid. Even if Song Yue had mentioned that he only needed to pay 20% upfront to win the contract, the crown prince of the Kun Empire wasn't at ease. Unlike Emperor Shang, who won't be questioned on what he spent the money on, Prince Qin Yu should answer to the imperial court of Kun. He cannot spend tens of millions of gold coins for 20 aircraft. After all, 7 Circle Realm experts aren't scarce in the northernmost empire of the continent. Well, if he is a popular figure in the court, it would have been fine. However, the lack of support made him hesitate to bid further as it crossed 25 million. As a result, he was forced to give up on the ambition to acquire the aircraft, letting Shang Fu win it with 25.7 million gold coins for 5 months of purchasing rights. And then, the final item was auctioned. Despite having similar firepower, the Kid-class destroyer didn't attract that much bidding from the guests compared to the previous 2 vehicles. First of all, there are only 2 bidders, Shen Ling and Auyang Zhen. Secondly, Qin Yu didn't appear to be that interested in procuring them, as Mark was only offering 3 of them at present, and 10 of them as a minimum assured order within 6 months. Thirdly, Shen Ling has no interest in borrowing the money from Qin Yu, and only intended to fight with the remaining 4 million. Because she wasn't that desperate to acquire them. Eventually, the warship fell into the hands of the Eastern Sun Kingdom, which also exerts control over 100 islands in the Emerald Sea. 5.6 million once twice sold. Congratulations, number 12, on purchasing the rights to Kid-class destroyer. With this, the GWS Expo of the year 1783 officially comes to an end. For those who had received the contracts, please follow us to the store and finish the transaction. And once again, we thank everyone for attending the event and making our expo a success. Clap, 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 clap. Everyone clapped as Mark grabbed Song Yue's hand and bowed together to the guests as a formality of farewell. Once Mark and Song Yue left the auction hall, the people also rose to their feet and started leaving the auction hall one after another. Sometime later, at Genesis Weapon Store. Thank you for the purchase, here are your goods. Mark gave a silver-grade storage ring to a merchant. It has over 50 Tigan 2A, the grenade revolver, and 1,000 grenades, 14. Each weapon was priced at 480 gold coins, and a 14 grenade costs 5 gold coins. So, apart from 258,000 gold coins, the merchant named Lu Zhen had handed over another 29,000 gold coins. Once the transaction finished, the system, as usual, sent him the notification. Ding, you sold 50 Taigen 2A, you received 14,400 gold coins as your share. Ding, you sold 1,000 grenades 40. You received 3,000 gold coins as your share. So, from the entire amount of 287k, a little more than 11k was deducted by the system, and the remaining 275.4k went to his inventory. Now, only 4 customers are left in the store. They are all people who stand at the top of the social ladder in society, but at the moment, every one of them was sitting obediently as Mark was processing the transactions. Mark then pointed at his 2 o'clock where the young man with an eye patch was sitting on a chair. "Mr. Yuan, it's your turn." Yuan Menzi didn't get up and said, "We can finish at the end. I have something important to talk about with you in private." Mark didn't know what he wanted to say, but in any case, he wanted to finish all the contracts. He replied, "First, please be done with transactions. We can surely talk afterward." "All right if you insist." Yuan Menzi didn't like people talking against him, but the suppression inside the store made his powers completely useless. Not to mention, he was also aware of the gap of strength between himself and this weapon seller. So he obliged Mark's words and walked to the reception desk, placing the gold grade ring. Mark handed it to Alan, who scans it in a second as usual and reports to his master, "Big brother, there are 245,000 gold coins and 276 high-quality crystals, but of different sizes. The combined size will be equal to 7654 carats." Mark made a quick calculation and said to the young man, "Mr. Yuan, you need to pay 100,000 for purchase rights and 250,000 for the 100 LMVs. This is more than the required amount." In response, Yuan Menzi let out a smile. "We can sort it out later." After Mark signed the document and gave him 5,000 gold coins of worth platinum-grade storage ring, which contains the 100 LMVs, Yuan Menzi returned to his seat and sat in silence. Yuan Meili didn't know what her cousin wanted to talk, but since she doesn't have any strength or authority to question him, she sat silently beside him. Mark then glanced at his granduncle, Lan Jiang, and then at the amnesiac friend from his past life, eventually calling the kid. Lan Jiang stepped forward and handed a gold grade ring with exactly 6,629,000 gold coins in it, 870k rights for Taigen 5A, 27k 100 Taigen 5A, 10k 10,000 ammunition, 5.6 million rights for destroyer, 105k 3 destroyers, 2k 100 torpedoes, 4k 100 rounds of 127 caliber, 5k 50 Rim 66 missiles, 6k 100 harpoon missiles. As the king of a place with the largest number of gold mines on the continent, Auyang Zhen didn't lack money. However, instead of squandering recklessly just to be happy, he would rather spend them on improving the quality of his people's lives. Or else, with the money he has within the treasury, he could have purchased the rights to all the weapons displayed in the auction. Anyway, back to the present. Lan Jiang gave the money, and Mark proceeded with signing the contract. "Here we go, thank you for the purchase." Mark also handed him the platinum-grade storage ring that is holding the 5 km range sniper rifles, along with 3 massive warships and their ammunition. Taking the ring, Lan Jiang then said, "His Majesty is really interested to host lunch for you. Someday, if you have the time, please do visit the city of Helios." Mark nodded with a smile. "Of course, I will send you the message through the communication talisman." Good. Lan Jiang earlier discussed with Auyang Zhen and decided to invite Mark to their royal palace in order to talk about Zhan Rong. As the group of 4 left the store, Zhu Jianhong, the Prime Minister of Western Moon Kingdom, stepped forward. The Western Moon Kingdom is indeed the biggest winner of this auction. They have won the purchase rights of machine pistol, Tigan 1, for only 10,000 gold coins, panzers for 965k, and howitzers for 14.6 million. Adding with the prices of weapons and their respective ammunition, the overall amount Mark was paid is about 15.9 million gold coins. Just like with the Eastern Sun Kingdom, all of it was paid in gold coins. As Mark suddenly saw millions of gold coins going into his inventory, he suddenly wished that they could have paid in ether crystals instead. Anyway, he cannot complain at this stage, when he suddenly became the richest individual in Phoenix Empire within a few hours. Putting aside his thoughts, he said to the representatives of the Western Moon, King Shen, Prime Minister Zhu, you are welcome to wait upstairs along with Princess Shen. After finishing everything here, I'll join you guys. Both of them nodded and made their way toward the staircase. Meanwhile, at the first-floor residence, Shen Ling and Song Yue were in the living room, and the latter's face didn't look good at the moment. Another wife? What do you mean? Please be clear. Chapter 288, Shen Ling's Goal. Until a while ago, everything was fine between Shen Ling and Song Yue. They were chatting about various things, although it was mostly Shen Ling trying to probe into Song Yue's personality by asking her opinions regarding various events. And once she had a fair understanding, Shen Ling slowly opened the topic of Mark's second marriage, changing the atmosphere in the room, all of a sudden. Princess Shen, why are you asking about my opinion about sharing Lu Zhen with another woman? What are you implying? Please be clear. Song Yue furrowed her brows as she confronted Shen Ling. If it is Lin Zhu who was talking about the matter with Song Yue, the latter would have taken it as a joke. However, the fact that it comes from a stranger she met for the first time makes it a matter to think seriously. On the other hand, Shen Ling was quite calm. Without hiding anything, she proceeded on explaining, you see, Miss Song, you have grown up in the household of a major noble clan and must be aware of how the world works on the upper society ladder. Lu Zhen is young, handsome, and far stronger than his peers. If I had to choose someone, I would rather choose him over those princes or kings from other lands. I'm interested in marrying him, and I won't be the last one either. Sooner or later, my father will send a proposal to him. I don't know whether you truly love each other or whether your engagement happened due to unforeseen circumstances, but the fact is that he is already engaged to you. Your consent is more important to me than even Lu Zhen's. That's why I wanted to know what you think. If Lu Zhen marries multiple women, even if it's for convenience, not out of love, will you be comfortable with it? Song Yue didn't answer her. She fell into deep thoughts, pondering on her own situation. The thought of having another woman by Mark's side didn't feel right to her. She was uncomfortable. At the same time, Song Yue knows her situation very well. She was weak, not talented as the androids, and dependent on Mark. After spending with him for weeks and seeing his kind personality that no one else gets to know, she doesn't even think that she was worthy of him. Adding on top of this, only she was aware that their engagement is nothing but a cover-up. Mark did it to protect her dignity in this stereotypical society. Hence, she put away her real thoughts and tried to keep a calm expression on her face as she replied, when we're engaged, I promise myself that I will support him in every decision he makes. Upon hearing the answer that she expected, Shen Ling nodded with a smile. Thank you. If I'll be successful in marrying Lu Zhen, I will make sure. Shen Ling. A deep voice interrupted her words, and both of the ladies turned their heads to look toward the source. They saw King Shen Niu standing at the entrance with his prime minister and the supreme general of their army. Shen Ling saw her father didn't appear to be in good mood at the moment. Father, what is it? Shen Ling was a little bit surprised by the frown on her father's face. Taking a deep breath, Shen Niu then said, we just received a message from General Luo. We need to leave right away. What happened? She asked him. Shen Niu didn't give the answer and just replied, it's urgent. I will tell you on the way. Come on, hurry up. See you later, Miss Song. Shen Ling bid farewell to Song Yue and left with her father and other companions. Meanwhile, on the ground floor, Mark just sent off Shang Fu and was about to return to his desk. He saw the four of them already reach downstairs and are walking toward him. Mark stopped them and asked them. Shen Niu didn't give him the proper answer either, and just gave the same vague reply he gave to his daughter before leaving, increasing his walking pace. "I'll stop by some time again, Lu Zhen," said Shen Ling before walking away. Mark didn't know what is going on with them, but since the transaction is already finished, he silently escorted them to the exit and returned to the desk once their twin bear's carriage started to leave. As the carriage drawn by two large brown bears left the neighborhood, Shen Niu finally looked at his daughter and asked her seriously, "Now, care to explain to me what the hell were you talking there with Miss Song?" Upon hearing his question, the princess quickly realized that there was no urgency at Western Moon. Her father was just displeased by her actions. She explained calmly, "I'm talking about my marriage with Lu Zhen, father. You see, she's his fiancée and will be like my sister once I married him. I thought it is better to tell her first as I don't want hard feelings between us." Her reply did no good. It only infuriated her father even more. He readily lashed out at her, without caring about the presence of the Supreme General or the Prime Minister. "You are really unbelievable, Xiao Ling. When I told you about the Kun Empire's fourth prince, Qin Zhai, you told me that you'll think about it. According to Envoy Hu Tian, you have the qualities to become Qin Zhai's wife. If the fourth prince becomes the ruler of a huge empire, you could become the empress. Kun Empire isn't as big as the Phoenix Empire or Leon Empire, but their military might is rather strong. I admit that Lu Zhen is strong and has this mysterious background that lets him have a monopoly on these powerful weapons, but can he be comparable to Qin Zhai and Kun Empire? Adding on top of that, he even has someone else in his life. I never imagined my daughter of all the people to even think of becoming a second wife of a commoner." Shen Niu loves his daughter very much and gives her the freedom to do what she wants. He just reunited with her not long ago and doesn't want to hurt her, but that doesn't mean she would misuse her freedom to fix her marriage behind his back. He felt like his daughter fooled him. However, he never expected that his daughter would shock him with her reply. Looking straight into his eyes, she spoke loud and clear. "I don't have any interest to become someone's prized possession, father. Neither do I want our kingdom to become an indirect vassal state of a large empire, nor do I intend to hand over the throne to someone else. I have decided to become the first queen regnant of Western Moon, and to rewrite the rules of the politics in our kingdom, I need someone like him by my side. Perhaps, if I make it a reality then, a change will eventually happen in the other lands." What? Along with her father, the Prime Minister and the Supreme General also reacted together. They were just as surprised as Shen Niu. Chapter 289, Purchasing the Stat Pills. Genesis Weapon Store, Imperial City. After every other customer has left the store, Mark finally had a chat with Yuan Menzi, who patiently waited. Yuan Menzi first thanked him for clearing the Baltro dungeon, and then requested a meeting with the Manticore. Remembering the additional amount he received earlier, Mark allowed it. Alan went upstairs and brought down the Manticore. Yuan Menzi inquired about his mother's death, whether it happened by the beasts or the people. He showed the portrait of hers. Unfortunately for him, the Manticore has no recollection of meeting that woman. Without gaining any considerable information, Yuan Menzi left the store in disappointment. Mark didn't know his story and neither was he in the mood to care about it. As soon as Yuan Menzi and her cousin left the store, Mark closed down the shutter and went back to his room. He then locked the door and sat on his bed before letting out a wide grin. "Okay, now, let's see the gains." After transferring all the gold coins and ether crystals to his inventory, he looked at the 8-digit number and Mark couldn't just stop smiling. 51.5 million. That's enough capital for me to do everything I want in this world. With such money, I can just retire and build a huge estate myself in the countryside, living in peace for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, there are too many things to do. I need to bring down Shang Fu, revive Land Sect, looking for a way to return home. I can't just put all of those things away just because I turned into a billionaire overnight if I consider the standards of my planet. Sigh, why am I thinking this bullshit now? There's still the system's upgrading pending. Need to hurry up and increase the strength exponentially. Let's keep a portion of the amount and use the remaining. Taking a deep breath, he spoke in his mind. System open conversion. Ding, you converted 40 million gold coins to credits. Ding, 8 million credits added to the account. Now shall we go on a shopping spree? Mark opened the store. As the system hasn't upgraded yet, the bloodlines and unique weapons are still unavailable to buy. But then again, he didn't have any intentions of exploring them either. Mark clicked on the items. He scrolls down to the pills section and proceeded to buy the permanent stat pills. Ding, you purchased 8 intelligence pills, intermediate grade. 32,000 credits were deducted. After buying 8 of them, he exhausted the intermediate grade pills. He then went on purchasing the advanced grade at hefty prices. Ding, you purchased 5 intelligence pills, advanced grade. 100,000 credits were deducted. With this, I can directly increase 7.4 points in total. Adding to 5.2, it will become 12.6. So, I can just become immortal if I consume it now. As soon as the thought came to his mind, the system poured water on his excitement with its reminder. Ding, the host can only increase stats using external assistance until he becomes a demigod. After that, all the items that augment your stats will be of no effect. Ooh, so I wasted 40,000 credits for nothing. Mark's mood turned a bit worse upon learning that he lost 200,000 gold coins over carelessness, but fortunately, the system's other quick reminder saved him. Ding, advanced grade pills and potions provided by the system are not user-bound. They could be given to anyone else. Ah, is that so? Then can I sell them too? Asked Mark hopefully. Ding, you have already bought them from the system. The system no longer holds the right to dictate what you do with them. If these can be used by anyone under demigod realm, then each one of these is priceless. Realizing the potential of the stat pills, Mark continued with his shopping spree, buying every stat pill that is available in the store. Ding, you purchased 10 strength pills, intermediate. 40,000 credits are deducted. Ding, you purchased 5 strength pills, advanced. 100,000 credits are deducted. Ding, you purchased 10 agility pills, basic. 5,000 credits are deducted. Ding, you purchased 10 agility pills, intermediate. 40,000 credits are deducted. Ding, you purchased 5 agility pills, advanced. 100,000 credits are deducted. Ding, you purchased 10 vitality pills, basic. 5,000 credits are deducted. Ding, you purchased 10 vitality pills, intermediate. 40,000 credits are deducted. Ding, you purchased 5 vitality pills, advanced. 100,000 credits are deducted. Ding, you purchased 2 defense pills, intermediate. 8,000 credits are deducted. Ding, you purchased 5 defense pills, advanced. 100,000 credits are deducted. Ding, you purchased 10 resistance pills, basic. 5,000 credits are deducted. Ding, you purchased 10 resistance pills, intermediate. 40,000 credits are deducted. Ding, you purchased 5 resistance pills, advanced. 100,000 credits are deducted. All of it cost him a total of 783,000 credits. That's almost 10%. Of course, it also means that he can afford to squander a lot without worrying about exhausting his resources. Hence, he decided to continue his shopping. He scrolled to the top and went back to the category screen. Mark then clicked on the attribute section. Well, I could just buy every attribute available, but owning too many will lead to confusion and extra thinking. Let's pick healing type, support type, and one more attack type. Just as he was about to click on the light, something clicked inside Mark's head, and his index finger stopped just an inch away from the option light. That's right. I forgot that I have yet to complete the quest and awaken the mage spirit path. Let's wait until then. For that to happen, I still need to upgrade the system and sell the 3 types of robots and 2 types of C4. I guess it is time to meet Feng Wu once again. It's been weeks since he obtained the needed equipment save for the 9 rounds. I wonder when he will start the invasion. Anyway, that's his headache, not my problem. I just need to focus on raising all the stats. Sometime later in the evening, roughly about 1,600 kilometers away from the imperial city, on the border of northern Yuan province and Zhao province, smoke started to leave a volcano while it was shaking rather violently, alarming the nearby stationed soldiers. Tremors continued for hours, and smoke started getting thicker as the time passed. Evacuations were going on at a rapid pace, and the matter was informed to the governor of the province, Zhao Chu. The eastern general, Wan Kun, was also informed. 8-5 circle mages were deployed by Zhao Chu to take care of the situation. They surrounded the volcano, with each one taking one side at 1 km away from the foot of the mountain. As all of them released a group skill, a gigantic barrier was formed over a large area, encompassing the volcano and the toxic gases it was releasing. By the next day's dawn, Wan Kun arrived with a part of his elite troop over the suspicion that it might be work of fire seed. His suspicion grew stronger as there was no sight of lava or explosion even after 12 hours. Without being able to escape the barrier, the smoke was just spreading all over the area, making it slowly harder for the spectators to see the volcano. At 6:25 in the morning, as the sun slowly rose into the sky, a mysterious group of black robes and hoods arrived at the scene. They were watching the scene from 5 kilometers above the ground. Surprisingly, all of them are floating without the support of any item. The one in the front was looking at the pocket watch. At 6:28 he closed it suddenly and announced to his group, "It is time." As soon as his words ended, lava shot into the air like a beam of flames and solidified to take the shape of a pillar. Because of its extremely high temperature, which reaches as high as 1600 C, its glow could even be visible in the midst of the trapped toxic gas. Far away at the edge of a cliff, Zhao Chu pointed at it with his face suddenly filled with excitement. "Is that what I think it is?" "I'm afraid so," replied Wan Kun. "Unlike this Zhao clan's patriarch, the general of the East doesn't seem to be looking good. I will have to send a message to the Imperial Palace right away. According to the texts, once the fire womb is born, it will take 12 hours for the fire seed to appear." Chapter 290. Breaking through to Rank 6, Upper Elite Realm 6 Circle. Genesis Weapon Store, Imperial City. At the first-floor residence, Mark was still on his bed, sleeping peacefully while everyone else in the city already woke up and started going to their work. Meanwhile, the store was already opened and Alan was managing it. Song Yue's work starts at 9, and Mark insisted that she doesn't have to work early in the morning. Feeling a little bit of pity for Alan, despite knowing that he is only a robot, Song Yue accompanied him downstairs, just sitting there in a corner and reading the newspaper. Her father Akka the Black Knight hasn't arrived yet, as he was also strictly told only to report to the duty at 9. The arrangement was done in such a way so that Song Yue feels like the Black Knight was a hired person. Anyway, back to Mark. While he was sleeping soundly, the system was refining the ether energy in the background. The mandatory notification sounds rang in his ears continuously and woke him up. Ding, 382,700 ether points were added to the character. Ding, your overall ether points crossed 1 million. You are qualified to break through to the next rank. Ding, note, your overall skill power will remain unchanged as they will be depending on stats. Ding, proceed with the breakthrough. Hey, letting out a yawn, Mark lazily looked at the holographic screen floating before him. Oh, it's already over. Great. After washing his face to clear drowsiness, he returned to the bed and sat down before proceeding with the confirmation. Yes, please proceed. Ding, congratulations. You successfully broke through to rank 6. Ding, your share of revenue increased to 70%. Ding, you completed the main quest II and received 16,000 credits. Ding, you received a new main quest. Ding, you received a new summon, Thunder Shark. Ding, you received a new summon, Ice Tiger. Ding, your bloodline skills have been upgraded to level 6. Ding, you received a new bloodline skill, Blizzard Wings. Absolute Freezing LV6, freeze your surroundings for 180 seconds. Range 300 meters. Cost 100,000 EP Ether Points, CD, 30 minutes. Ice Bolt LV6, conjure any number of ice spears with your ether energy to attack your enemies from far away with each spear containing 110% of your magic power, int. Range 300 meters. Cost 20% ether energy. CD, 0 seconds. Blizzard Wings LV6. Create a pair of indestructible icy wings, which can be used to fly, block the incoming attacks, or attack the enemies with a blizzard. Flying 10 EP of consumption every second. Block up to 150% defense stat points. Cannot fly or attack. The back will also be vulnerable. No ether consumption. And no external items can augment this feature, original defense points. Attack, generate a blizzard for 10 seconds with the power of 100% intelligence stat points. Cost, 10,000 EP. Range, 300 meters. The host is immune to the reduction of visibility due to the blizzard. Okay now, this is a cool one. Mark nodded in satisfaction. The indestructibility and the kind of defense it provides greatly gave him a sense of safety. Of course, he was also excited to fly in the sky. Anyway, let's get going. Closing down all the windows, he opened the inventory to take out the stat pills. Earlier day, he swallowed them one after another to cross 5 points except for strength, not wanting to use precious advanced grade stats pills. Of course, there's a second reason too. It is that for every 1 point in the increase of strength, 0.4 defense stat also increases. This is what Mark observed while improving his stats. Taking strength from 1.5 to 3.9 already took defense to 5.96, rounded off to 5.9 according to the system's calculations. Hence, taking any more will make him break through to rank 6, which he doesn't want at any cost because it will render all of his advancement pills useless. It was only in the evening did he finally realize something after remembering the gift of Yuan Menzi. The ether crystals combined were worth more than 750k gold coins. Realizing that he could just make a breakthrough anyway, he absorbed the crystals altogether and let the system do the rest of the work while he was sleeping. And now that he broke through to 6th circle, he intended to bring the other stats to greater 6 points, but less than 7 points as he doesn't want another breakthrough. After calculating the required amount of stat pills to reach his target, Mark put away the remaining and then started consuming them one after another. Ding, you consumed the intelligence pill, intermediate, and increased the intelligence stat by 0.3 points. Ding, you consumed the intelligence pill, intermediate, and increased the intelligence stat by 0.3 points. He consumed 5 pills one after another. Okay, that will reach my int to 6.7. With the Amulet of Magic, it will further raise to 8.37 or 8.4 to round off. Now, I could just kill anyone under the demigod realm by striking them with a lightning bolt as long as they are unprepared. And if they are prepared, I can still summon the lightning clone and take them out. There are also my ether weapons like the M134 minigun, attack helicopter, and the missile defense system. I can roast them from far away. Coming to the missile defense system, should I upgrade it again? I can afford to pay 840k credits now, but whether it is a diamond grade or crystal grade, there won't be much change. I need a huge transformation with it, and for that, I should upgrade it to at least mithril grade. So that means 3 upgrades. If my calculations are right then, the second upgrade will cost more than 6 million credits, and the third upgrade will cost more than 50 million credits. When I think about it, even the present amount didn't feel much. To gather such huge amounts, not only I might have to bring all the emperors and independent kings to the auction, but also sell them even more powerful weapons than the last time. Well, Not necessary to be powerful, but even missiles with a higher range will do the job. I hope by the next year I will be able to do that. During the past few months, my life was changed so much. I was struggling to sell a pistol worth 5 gold coins, and now there are millions in my inventory. Who knows, by the next expo I might even earn billions. Anyway, let's stop thinking about the things far away and focus on the present. 2 intermediate-grade strength stat pills raised his strength by 0.6 points. At the same time, his defense stat is also raised by 0.15 points, crossing the 6-point range. 2 intermediate-grade defense stat pills raised his defense further by 0.6 points. 2 intermediate and 1 advanced grade agility pill raised his agility by 1.6 points. 3 intermediate grade vitality pills raised his vitality by 0.9 points. 1 intermediate grade resistance pill raised his resistance by 1 point. In the end, his inventory had 5 advanced grade strength pills, 3 intermediate and 5 advanced grade intelligence pills, 5 advanced grade defense pills, 4 advanced grade agility pills, 5 advanced grade vitality pills, and finally 4 advanced grade resistance pills. System show character stats. Name Lu Zhen Mark Spencer. Rank 6. Strength 4.5. Intelligence 6.7 plus 25%. Defense 6.8. Agility 6.6. Vitality 6.1. Resistance 6.1. Charisma 9. Luck 2 plus 5. Bloodline Blizzard Pegasus. Attribute Lightning Ice and Space locked. Spirit Path Summoner. Ether Quality high. Ether Energy 1,035,630. Special Skills Ultimate Defense I, Ultimate Defense II, Thunderblast, Lightning Clone, Seal Breaker, and the Devil's Hand. Bloodline Skills Absolute Freezing, Ice Bolt, Blizzard Wings. Assistants 2 Alan Spencer, Elena Spencer. Store Branches 1. Lifespan Limit 235, 210 years left. Available Credits 7,208,146. Available Credit Limit 189,501, 89500. Net Worth 11.2 million gold coins. Total Debt 0. Credit Debt 0. Okay, the preparations are complete. Now, let's go and meet my dear partner in crime to urge him to start the war. Alan has yet to start the pilot training, and even if Shang Fu sends a once-in-a-decade genius who has the ability to learn how to properly fly the aircraft in a couple of weeks, it will still take a long time for the runways to be built anyway. The Imperial Palace won't be able to deploy them, and by the time everything is ready, I should convince Feng Wu to merge his kingdom with the Western Moon. Perhaps I will be able to earn more from either side if war starts between Western Moon and Phoenix Empire. To implement his plan without wasting any time, Mark decided to visit Kunyu bandits right away. However, after reaching downstairs, he realized that he had to delay it because of the letter sent by the Imperial Palace. Chapter 291. Mark pays a visit to Lanju. The Seed of Fire was born, Mark read the letter sent by the Imperial Palace. As per the letter, he was instructed to arrive at the Imperial Palace by noon. From there, he will be teleported directly to the location. The Imperial Palace's 100 million gold coins worth deal will only come into effect when he successfully snatches the Fire Seed and hands it over to the Emperor. Once the Fire Seed is claimed by the Imperial Palace, the contract will come into the effect, and within 3 years, the Imperial Palace will make sure the overall contract order reaches 100 million gold coins. Of course, Mark didn't have such great patience to look through the deal for 3 whole years. That's why the monthly guarantees were included in the contract, according to which, the order from the Imperial Palace will be at least 2 million gold coins per month. The representative was chosen to be the second prince, and every order will be given in his name. Mark might have earned tens of millions earlier during the expo, but rather than a lump sum of money, he would want a high, stable income. and this deal will give him what he wants provided that he won't get caught while working behind the scenes to fulfill his revenge. Hence, he decided to make this mission successful no matter what kind of troubles he must face. But that doesn't mean that he would risk wasting a precious item like the peak potion. It is like a life-saving trump card for him. Then, what else he should do to ensure his success? His personal ether weapons are with him all the time, and the savage Baltro is also there as a backup. Just one thing is left to make it a 100% success. Mark decided to fetch the middle-aged fellow, who probably started sweeping in the graveyard once again. Needless to say, he has an option of summoning the Zheng directly to him, but due to the latter's high cultivation and low loyalty, the chances are little, and even in the possibility of success, the cost will be damn high to store the beast in the familiar's inventory. Not to mention, there's also an issue of convincing him. Why bother to take such risks when he can just fly there and pick him up personally? Going back and forth will roughly take 5-6 hours. As the direct teleportation to the location is instant, and the budding of the elemental seed will take place after dusk, Mark could afford to let the Emperor wait for a couple of hours. Unfortunately, this plan has a major flaw. Lan Jingyi, his biological mother, is familiar with Zheng. Taking him to the palace might easily expose Mark's identity and spoil his plans, or at least, that's what the weapon seller thought. To protect his identity, he might have to go to the location by himself if he has to take Lan Ju, the demigod realm Zheng beast, with him. But that will take a long time. Who knows, he might not even arrive in time. Hence, Mark fell into a dilemma and was forced to weigh his options. Either having a perfect bodyguard and risking the mission as well as the deal, or saving time and protecting his identity. After pondering for a minute, Mark made the decision. Okay, life is more important. Even if the contract gets annulled, I can find other ways to make deal with Shang Fu. Not to mention, Phoenix Empire isn't the only empire in the world. There are other potential customers like the Kun Empire. Mark decided not to go to the palace altogether and told Song Yue to give a message to Chang Bo when he reports to duty. As the android cannot leave Song Yue alone with her distrustful father who was in disguise, Mark wanted to send the whelpire to the Imperial Palace to pass his message to the Emperor. Soon, the helicopter took off and started flying in the direction of the Kunyu mountain range. Sometime later, at Lansek's graveyard. So let me get this straight. You want me to get rid of all the obstacles just so that Shan Fu gets the elemental seed? How about no? The Zheng didn't appear to be pleased by Mark's request. The latter wondered what might be the issue. To get clarity, he asked Lan Ju a direct question. Do you hate assisting me, or do you hate Emperor Shang? Lan Ju answered without hesitation. Look, Lu Zhen, when I accepted you as the sect leader, I didn't ask about your background. You are a descendant of my master, inherited his bloodline and passed my test. That is enough for my acknowledgement. Now, I don't know what kind of relationship you have with Shang Fu or Lan Jingyi, but I cannot help anyone related to Lan Jingyi, the woman who refused to lead the Lan sect despite inheriting the demigod realm cultivation of Lan Zhengxin. Because of her reluctance, all the remaining disciples of the sect scattered and forced the sect to disband for good. Shang Fu is her husband, and I bet the fire seed is for one of his children to awaken the Phoenix bloodline. If you want to help them, I don't care, but don't ask me to do them a favor. Lan Jingyi is a demigod. Mark's face turned dark when he heard that. From the moment he failed to inspect her details, he had his suspicion. But more than that, he thought it would be the work of a divine-grade weapon, mithril/celestial/god. Since she belongs to the imperial family and is the favorite wife of the emperor, he thought it is possible for her to own one. Unfortunately, the reality struck him a little bit hard. Thankfully, Lan Ju is on the opposite side of the imperial palace. It is a piece of good news to Mark. He then proceeded to ask, what if I go against Lan Jingyi and her family one day? Will you be neutral or will you stay on my side? Lan Ju didn't know why the young man asked him that question, but he had a policy of not probing into the other party's intentions deeply. I will not kill Lan Jingyi or her blood with my own hands because my late master would be disappointed by that. However, I acknowledged you as the leader of Lan's sect, and as the guardian of the sect, it is my duty to protect you from any of your enemies," replied the Zheng beast in a firm tone. "I see." Mark nodded in understanding and then spoke. "Okay, so, if you treat yourself as the guardian of our land sect, then you are obligated to not harm the sect in any way." That goes without saying. Lan Ju felt like the young man was implying something else. He said, "What is that you want to say? Speak clearly." Mark then revealed his deal to the Beast Emperor and affirmed that they were never going to do a favor to Shang Fu. As he pledged that earned money to revive the land sect, the Zhang fell into thoughts for a while before giving a nod to Mark's request, although attaching a small condition to it. "All right, I will do my job and eliminate every enemy that dares to eye the fire seed. However, I won't protect Shang Fu. Your contract was with the Imperial Palace, not to the specific person." Mark accepted it with a smile. "That's fine by me. Now shall we leave? We can't waste the time." Meanwhile, at the Imperial Palace, Emperor Shang was in a discussion with Lin Zhengkang, Grand Secretariat, Bai Zun, Supreme Commander, Shang Wen, Second Prince, and a couple of two old men. "Lu Zhen will be joining us at Mt. Jizu. According to the message he sent with his servant, a powerful expert will be helping us to claim the elemental seed," Li Zhengkang said to the others. As a few people nodded, one of the old men named Du Tianmu, a seven-circle realm expert, asked the emperor, "Your Majesty, if you don't mind me asking, who you plan on giving the fire seed if it really falls in our hands?" "Of course it is going to be the crown prince. After all, he's going to be the next emperor." The other old man, named Si Lung, voiced his opinion immediately. Feeling several pairs of eyes on him suddenly, he quickly defended himself. "I don't support him or anything. I just heard that a lot of major clans are in his favor." Grand Secretariat, Li Zhengkang then stated, "If we acquire the seed, then it will be decided at the court. However, if Lu Zhen gets the seed, according to our contract, the elemental seed will go to third prince, Shang Wei." Shang Wei. The two invited seven-circle realm experts were taken aback by surprise. Is Prince Wei friends with Lu Zhen? They wondered. Chapter 292. Anyone below the Supreme Realm isn't worthy of our attention. The time was around noon, and the sun is at its peak position. At the top of a cliff, 20 kilometers away from Mt. Jizu, the volcano that just erupted to give birth to the lava pillar, which is also known as the womb of the fire seed, a few tents were seen. For now, Wan Kun, Eastern General, Zhao Chu, Zhao Clan's Lord Patriarch, Yuan Meili, and their subordinates were staying there while waiting for the emperor. While the soldiers continued to observe the movements of the targets through their respective telescopes, a portal opened nearby, throwing everyone on full alert. Thankfully, it isn't an ambush from enemies or something. Shang Fu and his aides walked out of the portal. Surprisingly, along with two old men, Si Lung of Heaven Sect and Du Tianmu of Five Lakes Sect, there's another old man. This person is truly an important figure, and even the emperor treated him with great respect. It is Song Tai, who is known to be the strongest being in the Phoenix Empire if one doesn't take the hidden supreme beings into consideration. Upon walking out of the portal, Emperor Shang spoke to the expert, "Lord Song, please." Together with Second Prince and Supreme Commander, the six of them walked into one of the tents. As they took the seats, Eastern General Wan Kun cupped his fists and greeted them. Shang Fu nodded in return and then asked, "General Wan, I don't see the barrier. What's going on?" Just as the general was about to explain the situation, Zhao Chu took the opportunity to show the emperor that he is working hard and answered in Wan Kun's place. "Your Majesty, there were three primary forces we need to be wary of. The first is the Church of Doom. The second is the group of legendary realm experts sent by the Tang Dynasty, and the third is the Iron Palm sect of the Leon Empire. These three forces aren't letting anyone near that lava pillar. People who got within the 5-kilometer radius of the pillar were getting killed without mercy. So far, We have lost 12 of our men. As for the barrier, we don't know who destroyed it but must be an expert from one of those forces. Thankfully, they also sealed all the trapped toxic gases that escaped after the destruction of the barrier. So, we'll be fine. What about the displacement of civilians? Emperor Shang continued to ask questions. Zhao Chu answered once again. Our clan members are trying their best to locate every single civilian from 50-kilometer surroundings. Yuan clan is also cooperating with us. If not for Lady Yuan's timely act, it would have been tough for us. He wants to take the entire credit, but since Yuan Meili is already there, he pitched her name instead of giving the credit to the Yuan clan in general. Another reason he gave credit to her despite Yuan Meili being a female and having no power is that he doesn't like the arrogant Yuan Menzi. The emperor looked at the young woman and nodded with a smile. It's good to see that your clan is letting you manage such affairs. Whatever family you will be married into, it will only bring fortune to your future husband. Thank you for the praise, Your Majesty. Yuan Meili grabbed her long skirt and slightly bowed with a smile as a part of etiquette while glancing at the second prince. Trying to be modest, she then said, "However, I don't deserve it. I just did what I had to do in an emergency situation." Your Majesty, our clan set up the safety camps, 70 kilometers away to the south. While we are currently taking care of their accommodation, food, and clothing, there are more than 50,000 people overall. Usually, it wouldn't be a problem for a few weeks, but our clan leader has earlier spent quite a significant portion of our funds to return the favor Lu Zhen did to him a while ago in clearing the Baltro dungeon. So, we might still need financial assistance from the Imperial Palace. Upon hearing her words, the second prince thought that she was taking the credit of the clan for herself and demeaning her cousin at the same time. He wasn't acquainted with Yuan Menzi, but as a straightforward person, he doesn't like people who scheme around for selfish reasons. Adding on top of this, he hates marriages of convenience. He doesn't like her in the first place, and now his impression of her only had fallen further. On the other hand, Emperor Shang was impressed by her modesty and glanced at his son, wondering whether she is a good match for Shang Wen. Meanwhile, far away in the sky, the mysterious group was calmly floating above the clouds and looking down at the group to keep an eye on everyone's movements within a 50-kilometer radius. The leader of the group, who was keeping an eye on the experts sent by the Church of Doom, suddenly shifted his attention by sensing another strong power in the southeast. He then spoke to the rest. A Supreme Realm Cultivator is here. Based on the location, the guy is on the side of the Empire. Obviously, it is Song Tai, commented one of the hooded guys. Another hooded fellow then said, he just broke through recently. Any one of us can defeat him in a one-on-one battle. He isn't a threat. The Church of Doom is the one we should be concerned about the most. Yes, that's right. The leader of the party nodded in agreement. If their leader joins the fight, it will take at least 3 of us to kill him. And if that hidden demigod makes an appearance, then we will be done for good. Recently, there's another name that is being heard everywhere in this empire. The fifth hooded guy voiced his opinion, changing the topic. This guy Lu Zhen had a mysterious manufacturer who sells powerful weapons through him. I heard the rumors that he possessed special weapons called firearms. These things can be operated by a civilian through which an army of 7 circle can be destroyed with ease. Really? That's something to pay attention to. It can also be just a rumor. No, I heard that he made tens of millions of gold coins in yesterday's auction. So it must be true. Should we pay him a visit to check the authenticity of the rumors? If it is true, then those weapons might be useful in our kingdom too. I wonder whether he will come here then. As his subordinates were suddenly going off track, the leader commented out loud, "Anyone with less than the power of a Supreme Realm Spirit Warrior is not worthy of our attention. Now, put your utmost focus on the surroundings. It is going to take a while for the lava pillar to transform, but we cannot let any other humans from the outside world come in our way. As soon as we spot them, we need to act swiftly. So don't lose the focus for the next 3 days." The time slowly passed. As the sun's position slowly moved to the west, more and more cultivators from different sects started arriving at the location. Meanwhile, the lava was getting hotter. Chapter 293. This is Wu Weiba. The sun has already set, but the lava pillar isn't showing any signs of going into the next phase. As the lava pillar reached 3000 C, creating a heat wave across the region, the mages at the campsite were trying their best to keep up the barrier all the time to make sure their bosses won't feel uncomfortable. The emperor and his aides, leaders of several sects, 3 powerful forces, and the mysterious group of Supreme Realm experts, everyone were patiently waiting for the transformation of the lava pillar while continuing to monitor their competitors. In the meantime, Emperor Shang successfully managed to rope in the leaders of a couple of sects by pledging to give them a semi-divine treasure each in exchange for fighting for him. The respective leaders of MT, Hua sect and Wuji sect knew that they cannot get the fire seed even with their 8 circle realm cultivations, but the reason they stayed is to get a part of the beast that the lava pillar will soon transform into. As the temperature was steadily rising, their willpower started to dwindle, and at that moment the emperor gave them a deal of free semi-divine weapons. They couldn't help but get tempted. Song Tai's presence also helped the emperor a lot in gaining their confidence. Little did they know that the Song clan's ancestor isn't here to participate in the assault, but only to protect the emperor from any misadventure of the enemies. It was around 7 o'clock in the evening. General Wan Kun entered the tent and informed the emperor, "Your Majesty, no cracks were seen on the pillar and no sight of that flying metal puppet." Emperor Shang looked at his son, General Shang. The second prince replied, 10 minutes ago, Lu Zhen informed me that he has entered the Zhao province. He'll be here soon." Mark and the second prince had a private communication talisman to contact each other. Shang Wen had given him so that it will become easy for them to communicate regarding the status of the orders. He doesn't want to keep sending a soldier to the store ahead of his visit. "Okay, prepare for Lu Zhen's welcome, and tell everyone else that I wish to talk with them." The emperor gave the order to the Eastern general. About 15 minutes later, the sound made by the rotor blades was heard in the sky before it descended onto the ground, 100 meters away from the tents. Alan, Mark, and Lan Ju got down from the vehicle and started walking toward the tent. Not wanting to risk exposing Lan Ju's identity at any cost, Mark made him put on a disguise, covering his body with black robes, head with a hood, and face with a blank mask. They were received by the Eastern general and were escorted to the tent, where he saw the emperor, some familiar faces and some new faces. "Greetings, Your Majesty, greetings, Your Highness. It's been a while, Mr. Song." He only greeted the 3 of them and proceeded to introduce Lan Ju while ignoring the rest of them. "This is Wu Wei Bao, 5-tailed leopard, the expert I told you about." None of them figured out the hidden meaning and just took the name as it is, nodding in response. Meanwhile, Song Tai whispered to the emperor, "Your Majesty, that man is in the peak stage of the Supreme Realm." Emperor Shang was stunned by his words, and he couldn't help but stare at the hooded figure once again before cupping his fists in respect. "It's an honor, Venerable Wu." The moment he addressed Lan Ju with a title, everyone also realized that this new expert is at least in the same league as Song Tai. They too cupped their fists and greeted him respectfully. At the same time, they truly felt like Mark's background is a lot more complicated than they expect it to be. On the other hand, Mark felt like he was being ignored by this bunch of weaklings. He didn't like it and wanted to brag that the expert is nothing but his contracted beast of the demigod realm, but kept his calm upon remembering his goal. Not to mention, it wasn't the first time he was treated like that. The last time he took the manticore with him, the people from the imperial palace feared it more than its master him. So he can ignore that unpleasant feeling rather easily. Taking a deep breath, Mark then asked, "Your Majesty, how long will it take for the fire seed to be born?" His question was answered by Song Tai instead. "Usually, it should have been born by now already. Even I can't predict when it will happen." Mark glanced behind from the corner of his eyes. Lord Wu. Wu Weibao Aka Lan Ju closed his eyes for a couple of moments and then voiced his opinion. I can feel the intense rage from that lava womb. It was mutating. I don't think that pillar would transform into a regular monster. All of you below 9 circle should be prepared to throw away your lives if you intend to fight it. Lan Ju's words created a tense atmosphere in the room. If those words have been uttered by Mark or any other person, people would have taken it easy, but the fact that they believe Lan Ju is a supreme being made it harder for them to ignore his warning. The representatives of Heaven Sect and Five Lake Sect, who were in the 7 circle, wondered whether they should return. However, not everyone is like that. One person dared to argue with Lan Ju. Dai Long of MT. Hua Sect commented in a calm tone, "If high realm cultivators like us will cower under a life-threatening situation and try to be selfish, then what will happen to the civilians and novice spirit warriors?" Of course, his intention isn't to talk back to a supreme being, but wanted to make his point. Some people might understand it, but Mark wouldn't take it that way. In his view, if one argues back on a suggestion of goodwill, then he is either a person with ego or a person with high principles. Either way, when the real battle comes, that person will not follow the orders and will do their own way. Mark quickly inspected his details to check whether he has the skill to back up his words. When he saw that Dai Long is in the legendary realm, he calmed down, thinking that this guy is an expert. However, when he read the description that gave away Dai Long's identity, Mark couldn't help but narrow his eyes as he opened his mouth. "So, it is you, Dai Long, huh?" Everyone turned toward Mark. The latter let out a cold laugh and continued to speak without hiding his displeasure. "I was busy lately for the past few weeks, so I almost forgot about you guys for a while. Thanks for appearing. Because of you, I remember once again. Once this is over, I will surely pay a visit to your sect to see that bastard from the Sway clan. He sent 2 assassins after me, and I have yet to clear the debt. Oh boy, I went to such great lengths to rope them in, and this guy had to worsen the situation as soon as he arrived." Emperor Shang felt like he was going to get a headache with Mark openly showing his animosity against Dai Long. Chapter 294, Emperor Shang's Choice. Ever since he reincarnated, Mark was consistent on one thing, which is to develop grudges over the people with authority. Likewise, there's also an unpaid debt with the MT, Hua Sect. Back then, he decided to forget it as the leader of MT. Hua is a legendary realm expert 8 circle, and he doesn't have the strength to contend against him. He expected it would take months or even years to achieve the strength enough to crush that entire sect, but his growth accelerated at a rapid pace, and now that he could afford to showcase his enmity, Mark didn't hesitate to act. Of course, he wasn't just acting on his feelings. To bring Shang Fu down, Mark planned to increase the dependency of the Imperial Palace on his firearms and other weapons. However, just selling the weapons wasn't enough. Mark wanted to leave Shang Fu without any powerful and wealthy allies. His allies should turn into his enemies. Only then, when he gets dethroned, no one would come to his help. Indirectly, he already influenced the emperor to take action on Song Yun. It is already enough to shake the clan leader's confidence in Shang Fu, and now it is MT, Hua Sect's turn. Using his grudge against MT, Hua Sect's Sui Ping, and taking advantage of Shang Fu's helplessness, he wants to irk the Sui clan even more. Luckily for him, the leader of the MT, Hua Sect served himself on the platter, and he used the opportunity to rake up the issue at a perfect moment. The emperor was in a bind. He doesn't know how to react. There's a Supreme Realm expert on Mark's side, and his help is very much needed in acquiring the Fire Seed. At the same time, the MT, Hua Sect is a valuable ally to the Imperial Palace, and he personally requested Dai Long to side with him in the upcoming battle, offering him Earth-grade armor, semi-divine. So what should he do? Well, whether there is Wu Weibao or not, his heart has already sided with Mark, but as the emperor, he cannot go with what his heart says. He should be logical in his actions. But first, he needed to make sure that no fight erupts at the scene. Hence, Emperor Shang decided to divert everyone's attention quickly before the matter turns worse because of Dai Long's reaction. Lu Zhen, you can settle your issues with the MT. Hua sect later, but for now, we need to think about how to face the enemies that are blocking our way to the Fire Seed. We need to deal with the Church of Doom, the Dragon Empire, and the Iron Palm sect. Neither of them is on peaceful terms with us and wouldn't spare our lives if it comes to obtaining what they want. But we should be wary of the Church of Doom, the most since they will be looking for your blood. Emperor Shang believed that this topic would be enough to control the situation. However, little did he expect Mark's reply to that will worsen the atmosphere in the room. With Lan Ju giving him the word, he was confident about acquiring the Fire Seed. Hence, he didn't care about the identity of the opponents. Of course, he didn't know that the Church of Doom's leader was also present. So, he paid little attention to them, or else, he would run off right away to kill him and complete the pending quest. Mark made himself loud and clear as he threatened Shang Fu. Your Majesty, with me on your side, you can be assured that the Fire Seed will fall in your hands. However, even for the sake of our agreement, I cannot work with the people with whom I had grudges. If they are our store's customers, it would be different, but I don't have a reason to put with their existence. So you have to make a choice right now. If you choose Mr. Dai, then forget our deal. We will leave and obtain the Fire Seed on our own. Since I don't have any use for it, I might just auction it to make money out of it. Oh, and also, if I won't have any allies, I will be bombarding the transformed beast with missiles. Those warheads don't distinguish between a friend and a foe. So, I will not responsible for any accidents, and I don't want you to guys put blame on me. Just saying. The rest is your wish. Tell me when you made the decision. Until then, I will be waiting outside. Not intending to negotiate on the terms, he made the exit right away. Alan and Lan Ju followed the suit. As he walked to the edge of the cliff and observed the lava pillar from far away, Lan Ju stood beside him and said, I don't care about the lives of humans, much less their feelings, but I think that you were a little bit harsh earlier. That man named Dai Long, I didn't feel an ounce of darkness from him. He's worthy to befriend. Mark shook his head and stated his opinion. I don't agree. Light asks for stability and peace, while darkness motivates one to get hungry for strength. As for that Dai Long, he might be good, but he shelters evil, so I don't think he is worthy of befriending. Lan Ju fell silent and just quietly observed his future sect master. As for Alan, he just doesn't care about anything other than following Mark's orders, well, excluding his new friend, Lin Zhu. Meanwhile, inside the tent, the Emperor dismissed the others except for Dai Long. Of course, Bai Zun and Shang Wen stayed inside. Shang Fu then apologizes to the leader of MT. Hua sect, taking others by surprise. Lu Zhen has often suffered injustice since childhood, so he tends to show hostility against people with whom he had a grudge. His young age is to blame for that. I hope you forgive him for my sake and try to solve the issue in a peaceful way. Dai Long wondered why the Emperor was apologizing on behalf of Mark. Was he worried for Mark, or was he worried for MT? Hua sect. Not many people were aware, but the MT. Hua sect's origins lie with the ancient Shaolin sect branch of the Dragon Empire. The main branch is located in the plane of earth and metal. Hence, if Dai Long personally makes a request, then the Shaolin sect branch will be involved. They won't be a problem as long as the mysterious expert is with Mark. However, if the situation escalates and brings the powerful experts from the main branch to his world, then Mark will be done for good, well, at least, in Dai Long's opinion. However, Dai Long never planned on creating unnecessary violence over petty revenge. He lived enough to know how to deal with someone like Mark and was confident in resolving the enmity. The only problem is how to handle the present situation. Mark didn't seem to be enthusiastic to work with them and even mildly threatened to kill them with the missiles. The best solution is to leave the place, but that will make them a laughing stock. So Dai Long chose a different route. He replied, Your Majesty, I think me and my people should stay here at the tent and protect you from any possible attack. If there is more than one powerful assassin, then Venerable Song won't be enough. In the meantime, Prince Wen and Supreme Commander Bai can work with Lu Zhen. Shang Fu nodded with a smile. Thank you. After a while, the second prince informed Mark, and the latter was forced to agree, considering Dai Long wasn't his real enemy. As the relationship with Shang Fu hasn't gotten to the stage where the imperial palace is completely dependent on him, Mark gave Shang Fu enough space for negotiations. Soon, a separate tent was set up for him with enough furniture inside to feel luxury. Mark rested there with his companions. Citing the reasons for unpleasantness in the presence of Dai Long, he rejected the dinner with the emperor and decided to eat in his tent. Alan didn't need the food to eat, and Lan Ju prefers the raw meat of monsters. So, he ended up eating alone. After eating regularly at home with Song Yue, he kinda felt lonely and missed her presence. Thinking that he will return by the next morning, Mark put away his thoughts and spent his free time creating the bullets. Little did he expect that the lava pillar won't transform all night at all. And so, 3 more days passed away in a blink of an eye. Chapter 295, Exoskeleton Suit. It was noon and the sun is already at its peak position. As if that wasn't enough, the surrounding temperatures around Mt. Jizu hit as high as 100 C, while almost half of the Phoenix Empire was experiencing a heat wave, reaching average temperatures as high as 45 C. The usual temperature at the Imperial City is around 25. So, for the commoners, it is indeed as worse as hell. As for the northern and southern Yuan provinces, where temperatures are around 35 C, they are experiencing 50-52 C, and citizens are advised to not get out of their homes. People with weak constitutions are getting ill, and kids are dying. While Yuan Menzi didn't appear to care about the people's suffering and leisurely enjoyed his time at the clan, the elders couldn't afford to enjoy such luxury. They were trying their best to help people, although Yuan Menzi is getting credit for it as he holds the authority to release the funds. In the meantime, at the campsite, the emperor and his aides were comfortable as the area was completely covered by the heat-dispelling barrier. Mark holed himself up in his tent, trying his best to not leave the place. On one hand, it's been more than 3 days and the lava pillar wasn't just transforming. On the other hand, he was missing the presence of Song Yue. Unfortunately for him, there were no mobile phones in this world, and neither was he comfortable in letting the system and Elena act as mediators to pass the messages between them. Mark didn't know that he will be away from home for this long. Hence, he didn't prepare anything to create some sort of communication channel between them. He decided to purchase a set of long-range communication talismans after this is over. At around 1 o'clock in the afternoon in his tent, Mark was seen being busy working on a ballistic missile's design and its components. Let's go with 62% titanium, 8% stainless steel, and 30% duralumin. As for the dimensions, 3100 and 3.1 meters would be the optimal length, 160 diameter, 16 cm, and 21.5 kg warhead. The speed will be compromised a little bit unless I compromise with the fuel tank for the desired results. In the latter case, the range will be comprised. It's not like I'm aiming for large distances. How about 73.5 kg without fuel and explosive charge, and 99.5 kg with everything? In that case, an 11 kg mixed warhead can be fitted alongside a 15L fuel tank. This will ensure at least 80 km in hypersonic speed. However, the main problem is the engine module. Liquid fuel is more difficult to handle compared to solid fuel, but the performance is stronger in the former's case. And the next problem is that peroxide hasn't been invented in this world. Should I go for another comburant? Nah, I can make it myself. If there's any trouble, I can hire a high-level alchemist for the assist. Then what should be the ratio of fuel to comburant? Let's see. If I use kerosene and peroxide, then the ideal ratio should be somewhere between 1:14 to 1:15. Theory won't cut it. I need to run tests. As for the warhead, I just need to put 2 warheads in the explosive module. One serves as the detonator with a smaller quantity of explosives like 1 kg, and the remaining 10 kg will be detonated and destroy the target. Of course, there are also guidance systems like the electro-optical, radar guidance, infrared guidance, lock before launch, and lock after launch, but it is better to just buy them from the system store, which will be available once it hits level 6. So, not a big deal. Wait a second. Why should I follow the same method and use the same materials as I did on Earth? I have the access to rare materials mining. But then again, what's the use? The destruction depends on the warhead, right? Come to think of it, what if I can trap some ether energy alongside the explosives? It doesn't take mass, so it can be done. But will it increase the destructive power? What if it causes premature detonation? As Mark was thinking about all the possibilities with the addition of ether energy, a soldier entered the tent. "Lord Lu, I apologize for the intrusion. His Majesty is inviting you to the lunch," he gave the message. Lan Ju, who was just lazing around, made a comment as the soldier exited the tent. "Shang Fu doesn't just give up, does he? For the past 3 days, he's been inviting you and you are rejecting it. Yet, he was inviting you again. I guess he wants to mediate between you and that person named Dai Long. Let him do what he wants. I will not budge on him." Wait a second. Mark decided to eat alone once again, but then something struck his mind all of a sudden. "Lan Ju, what day is today?" "How would I know that?" Lan Ju was a bit surprised by Mark's sudden question. He might be a beast emperor, but he has been away from the civilization for a very long time. It's no surprise that he doesn't have any idea about the dates. "Alan," Mark asked him. "It's Friday," replied the android, who was sitting like a statue for a while. Mark then hurriedly opened the lottery function and almost slapped his forehead. "I forgot about the day." He rose to his feet and walked toward the exit. "I'll go and have lunch with the others." Lan Ju raised his eyebrows, wondering what is going on in Mark's mind. Nevertheless, he didn't join him. Meanwhile, inside one of the tents, the emperor sat along with his son, Song Tai and Bai Zun. He was waiting for others to arrive. He was discussing what to do with the lava pillar causing mayhem across the empire. They aren't sure when the fire seed will be born. Hence, they had the option of destroying it. It was suggested by the second prince, but the emperor didn't appear to buy the idea. "Even if I forget about the fire seed, how do you plan on getting past those hostile forces and destroying the lava pillar?" he asked. The second prince replied casually, "It isn't a big deal. We can always take Lu Zhen's help and destroy the pillar right from here. I don't think he had sold all of his howitzers to the Western Moon. I'm sure that there will be a couple with him. We can't buy them, but that doesn't mean that he cannot use them to help us. However, you have to be the one who should take the decision. Before being a father, he is the emperor and he has to take care of his citizens first. Hence, he considered the option." But before he replied, his eyes fell on the person who just stepped inside the tent. To his surprise, the first to arrive is Mark, who never accepted his invitation until now. "Lu Zhen," the emperor called out his name. Mark replied that he changed his mind and sat down beside the second prince. The latter then asked about Alan and Wu Weibao, Lan Ju, to which Mark gave a quick excuse that his 2 companions are on a diet. Shang Fu bought the lie and nodded with a smile. He was satisfied that Mark attended the lunch, and that is enough. In the next 10 minutes, the other VIPs arrived one after another. Each one of them was surprised by Mark's presence, but they didn't bother to ask him as their impression of him turned bad because of his refusal to talk to them or eat with them for the past 3 days. Throughout the lunch, Mark calmly ate his food, only giving short and decisive answers to either the emperor or the second prince whenever they tried to strike a conversation with him. As he was done with the main course and started eating the soy milk pudding, he put his right hand under the table and unleashed the skill, whispering to himself. The ring glowed for 90 seconds before he received a notification stating that he absorbed the luck and the 5-minute timer has started. Within the next minute, he hurriedly finished the dessert and excused himself by telling that he needed to go out for a walk. He thanked the emperor for the meal and exited the place. As soon as he was out, he mumbled, "System, open lottery wheel. Random unique weapon. Random bloodline. Rank 1 android, weapons research specialist. Upgrade crystal, superior grade. Ungraded battle tank, Merkava Mark IV. Peak Potion. Mysterious Box. Every single item is valuable this time. However, if I had a choice, I would pick Upgrade Crystal to improve Alan's stats. He clicked on the spin without wasting any time. Ding, 300 credits were deducted. Roughly 25 seconds later, the arrow landed one of the rewards. It was expected as he has 10 points of luck at the moment, but the reward that came from it was unexpected. Ding, congratulations, you won Random Unique Weapon. The weapon box was sent to your inventory. As he opened the inventory and clicked on the box with a question mark, similar to the mysterious box, the specific inventory slot glowed for a couple of seconds before an image of an armored suit appeared in the slot. I wonder what this might be. Mark turned curious as this was the first he received an armor-type weapon. He clicked on it to check the details. He was forced to halt his footsteps with a look of surprise on his face. A sci-fi exo suit. My, this is unexpected. Chapter 296, Transformation of Lava Pillar. Exoskeleton Suit VII Bound. Model Number VT61. Grade Mithril. Crew 1. Performance. Maximum Speed 788 kmph running, Mach 3 flight, 346 kmph underwater. Energy Consumption. Ether points amount depends on actions. Maximum Operating Altitude 29,284 meters from sea level. Maximum Operating Depth 10,682 meters underwater. Armament. Assault Battle Rifle Ether. An assault rifle with a capacity to store 300 million ether particles worth of ether energy. Ammunition, ether energy. Range, 965 meters. Magazine, 3 rounds rank 8 ether bullets, 10 rounds rank 7 ether bullets, 20 rounds rank 6 ether bullets, 50 rounds rank 5 ether bullets. Rate of fire, 100 RPM fixed for every type of round. Sniper Battle Rifle Ether. A single-shot sniper rifle with a capacity to store 900 million ether particles worth of ether energy. Ammunition, ether energy. Magazine, 1 round low rank 1 to peak rank 8. Range, 12,430 meters. Attachment scope 60x. Target lock-in, yes assault rifle. Other FEATURES. Flight underwater breath, enhanced vision night vision, resistance 9 points and neural link. Description. The exoskeleton suit VII is a durable armor made out of mithril 82%, adamantium 8%, and other materials. It is capable of blocking every type of attack under the 8 circle realm and powerful enough to hurt enemies under rank 8 physique, 8, 0 STR. Skills. Active. Nullification. The suit absorbs all types of attacks for 5 seconds as long as they are below the level of 10 circle 10 STR/int. Cost, 20% ether energy. CD, 180 seconds. Energy barrier. The suit creates a defensive shield for 10 minutes which reduces the attack power of an energy-based attack by 20%. Cost, 50% ether energy. CD, 12 hours. Stealth mode. The user can turn invisible for 30 seconds and attack enemies from far away. However, the mode will get cancelled with physical contact with anyone. Cost, 10% ether energy. CD, 15 minutes. Elemental Blast. The user can blast concentrated energy from either of his palms and destroy the opponents. Effect 1, 160% attack power max, 9.9 int. Effect 2, contains the attribute effect. Cost, 50% ether energy. CD, 0 seconds. All-out burst. The battle rifle sniper rifle absorbs the natural energy from the surroundings and shoots a concentrated beam with rank 9 attack power 9, 5 int. Cost, 100% ether energy. CD, 36 hours. Passive toggle. Flight. The user could fly like a bird in the sky with just 1 ether point second of consumption. Underwater breath. With the suit having the ability to automatically extract oxygen from water, the the user could swim underwater without any breathing issues as long as the mask is kept on. No cost is required. Neural link, the user could operate the suit remotely by connecting his mind with the suit's core. Cost depends on the distance and time. Note, once the suit is disconnected, it needed to be collected in person. Hence, there's a risk of losing it. Enhanced vision. Through the inbuilt scope function in the helmet, the user can see the objects more clearly with 10x zoom. No cost is required. Night vision. The user can see in the darkness as clearly as in the day. No cost is required. Damn, the suit is so dope. Come to think of it, this is also the first time I received a mithril-grade weapon. Mark felt like he had underestimated the significance of luck more than ever. The maximum points of luck not only guaranteed his reward, but also gave him what he needed the most. No matter how strong he got, he was always worried about his defense. Despite raising it to more than 6 points, Mark never was settled with his fears over ambush. It is why the peak potion became too valuable to him. As for why he didn't buy defensive skills, in Mark's eyes, only unique skills are worth being bought, and each skill would cost 1,000,000 credits or 5 million gold coins, which appeared to be a bit too much for him to invest in. And now that the system practically gave him the exo suit for free, Mark was more confident than ever in tackling the enemies even in close combat, although it is not his forte. After returning to his tent, he took out the suit from the inventory and equipped it. The suit automatically adjusted its size to Mark's body. From the outside, while it appeared like tight-fitting wear, Mark was completely comfortable. He felt as if he didn't even wear a metallic suit of armor over his clothes at all. At the same time, he felt feather-light, and all sorts of its functions were kinda stored in his memory. It isn't the first time he received knowledge about a bunch of things all of a sudden. When he transmigrated into Lu Zhen's body, Mark received a gush of new memories. The feeling was a bit similar, and Mark was astounded by it. Of course, he saw its details earlier, but reading about the functions and understanding it is two different things. Now, the only thing left is to experience it directly. However, it isn't the same case for Lan Ju. The Beast Emperor never saw anything like it, and his future sect leader appeared more like an alien organism from another world rather than a human. As Mark was caressing the futuristic-looking weapons that came with the suit, Lan Ju commented, "You look weird. People will either get scared or attack you if you go out in that form." Mark was taken aback by the remark as he returned to reality. Due to the lack of a mirror inside the tent, he doesn't know how he looks. So instead, he connected to Alan's vision, thereby watching himself through Alan's eyes. Well, he isn't wrong, I guess. Mark admitted that it looks threatening, but at the same time, he was well aware that the suit's purpose is to defend and attack, not to appear like a friendly knight. Not to mention, he looks cool in this exo suit from sci-fi movies. Dismissing it by pressing a button on the upper part of the chest, Mark put it away in the inventory. I can wear it once the pillar goes into the second phase. Sigh, I wonder how long I have to stay here. This damn 100 million, wait a second. How about I make some profits? If I can sell those ether weapons to the Emperor in large numbers, then perhaps this waiting time would be worth it. But what if I complete the main quest and unlock those 2 weapons, but the Emperor won't buy both of them? The ether pistols didn't sell for much. The Imperial Palace might show interest in an ether sniper rifle, considering its maximum output is in rank 6, but what about the assault rifle? They already have too many types of weapons, and the second prince might not agree with them. Then, I would have to search for the next customer. Maybe I can use the situation to my advantage and force Shang Fu to buy them. Nah, selling them at auction will net me more profits, and it's not like I'm in need of moan. Scree. A sharp noise, probably a high-pitched scream of something, rang across the region all of a sudden. What the hell was that? Mark felt goosebumps upon listening to that noise. Alan appeared to be normal. On the other hand, Lan Ju turned serious as he spoke. It is the signal of the transformation of the lava pillar. It came from there. Mark was visibly surprised, but it is more than 20 kilometers away. Lan Ju shrugged his shoulders. If I scream out loud, it will reach even 100 kilometers. Not a big deal for beast emperors. Is that so? Mark wondered for a second whether the golden-furred kitten will also be like that before his attention was grabbed by the soldier named Yuan, who entered the tent in hurry. Lord Lu. Before he finished his speech, Mark interrupted him. I know. Go and inform His Majesty that I'll be making my move. The soldier bowed and exited the place while Mark opened the inventory once again as he mumbled. The 5-minute timer hasn't been over, and the pillar had to transform at this moment. It looks like the luck points are at it once again. Meanwhile, at Mt. Jizu, which is no longer a volcano but just a flattened molten rock, the glowing lava pillar was slowly transforming into a humanoid monster. 7 km away from the lava pillar, 2 o'clock direction. A group of 7 cultivators belonging to the Iron Palm sect were camping around. The weakest of them is at peak 7 circle, and the leader of the group is at low 9 circle. Despite staying quite close to the lava pillar, which was as hot as 3000 C, they were perfectly all right. Without any sort of tension, they were chatting regarding worldly affairs until the temperature dropped in the surroundings with the lava pillar going into the final phase of transformation. It has started. Now start the preparations. The leader of the group, Yan Zhenlu, ordered the 6 elders of the sect. Luo De, Zhuan Zexi, Yao Lingxin, and Ding Yu, the 4 of you will launch the formation as planned. Zun Hong and Gu Ru, you are with me. Remember that our target isn't to kill the beast but to use it in taking down the others. Understood. It took an entire hour for the complete transformation, resulting in a giant lava golem. 5 km away from the lava pillar, 6 o'clock direction. Here, the space was occupied by the spirit warriors cultivators sent by the imperial family of the Dragon Empire, Tang Dynasty. Originally, the group of 5 was led by a peak stage legendary realm spirit warrior named Qiu Song, but after they sensed the presence of more than one supreme realm expert, they had to call for assistance. And the emperor of the Tang Dynasty sent his supreme commander. One of the ancestors of the imperial family also joined him in order to have fun by battling a fellow supreme being. Both of them are in 9 circle, and it boosted the group's morale while sending the other forces on alert. As the lava pillar started its transformation, the supreme commander of Dragon Empire, Gu Keo, gave orders to the rest. According to our intel, this process will take roughly 60 minutes, give or take 5 to 10 minutes. I'll take care of others. All of you just focus on the monster, and remember this well. The fire seed and the corpse, everything should fall in our hands. Spare no one. Yes, sir. The others placed their fists above their hearts and saluted him. On the other hand, the old man with them, Tang clan's ancestor, Tang Jiao, let out a wide grin as he stared in the direction of Phoenix Empire's campsite. It's been a long time since I fought against a person in my realm, peak 9 circle. This should be fun. 3 km away from the lava pillar, 10 o'clock direction. And this is where the elders of the Church of Doom staying for the past 3 days. Their leader was staring at the transforming lava pillar. Soon, the final elemental seed will fall into my hands. Once Grandmaster gets freed, no force in the world will be able to stop us from bringing the ancestor. 1 hour later, the lava pillar finally transformed into a 6-eyed giant lava golem. Chapter 297.1 Battle for the Seed of Fire, Part 1. The lava golem is more than 3,000 meters big with no legs to move around. One can say that is a half golem, considering its base is its abdomen. It is like the entire Mt. Jizu had grown arms and head and came into life. To talk more about its appearance, it has 6 eyes with 3 eyes on each side placed vertically on top of each other. Each eye is about 30-40 meters big in size, enough to terrify people with one glance. On its forehead, there is a brightly glowing gem, the size of a 30-story building, 120 m. There's another glowing gem, located in the middle of its chest, and this one is the size of a 120-story building, 500 m. As one would believe, both of them turned out to be fire seeds. Sensing its cultivation from far away, Lan Ju opinioned that it is at the peak stage of the nine-circle realm, but its strength would be far higher. If compared to the beasts, the lava golem would be a beast emperor. Upon hearing the details, Mark commented, "It means that that thing is no match for you." "Obviously," replied Lan Ju with a firm nod. After a couple of seconds of pause, he added, "However, it won't be easy to acquire the fire seed. There's a lot of competition ahead, and you could be ambushed at any moment while I become busy with the battle against the golem." "You don't need to worry about me." Mark waved his hand, suddenly getting confident because of the suit. "As long as a demigod won't suddenly ambush me, I'll be fine." Lan Ju felt that Mark was too overconfident and decided to keep quiet about the possible threats. He thought that it is better for Mark to get a reality check. And if Mark proves that his assessment is wrong, then what more can it be better for the land sect? Either of the cases will only benefit him. Or so, Lan Ju thought before grabbing him and teleporting to the bottom of the cliff, leaving the heat-dissipating barrier placed by the Zhao clan. Before a week ago, there used to be a forest filled with lush greenery. But ever since the volcanic eruption, followed by the appearance of the lava pillar, the place ended up like a desert in just 3 days, although without any sand. Looking at the path ahead, Mark equipped his suit once again and took the battle rifle into his hands. "Let's go." He charged forward, testing the speed of the suit. However, in the next second, a high-pitched scream escaped from his mouth. "What?" Due to the sudden acceleration of the speed, Mark lost control and crashed onto a dead tree. The rifle slipped from his hands and fell to the ground. "Fuck." Lan Ju broke out into laughter immediately and commented, "You really look like a clown now." Mark dusted off his suit and picked up the rifle while feeling embarrassed. "Damn, that's not cool. I might need more practice. Wait a second, I don't feel any pain." The fact that the suit is durable enough to blast through the dead trees has clicked in his mind. According to what he learned so far, the monster usually stays alive for 10-15 minutes at most, protecting the fire seeds from any predators before the earth starts its absorption. But then again, it took 3 days for the transformation instead of the usual 12-13 hours. So, one can expect it to stay alive for 30 minutes at most. As it will take time to kill the golem, Mark assumed that he needs to move at the speed of 250 km/h, at the minimum. And now that he has a problem with the footing, Mark activated flight mode and automatically found himself ascending toward the sky. His arms and legs were shaking left and right as he tried to find some balance. Of course, it's not that this was the first time he was flying on his own. In the past, he did fly once while trying to use a prototype jetpack, although it only lasted half a minute and he was grabbing the handles tightly as he flew higher like 10 meters. But now there were no handles to grab or anything, and neither can he feel the weight. So this was entirely new to him and it takes time to adjust. Fortunately, Mark knew that he doesn't have time to fool around and had time constraints. So he tried his best to adjust to the flying. It took entire 2 minutes for him to fly in the air horizontally like a Superman. By this time, fighting was already started at the destination. The experts of Dragon Empire launched their attack. However, they weren't just attacking the golem. The original 5 experts led by Qiu Song, who arrived first, were trying their best to kill the golem. The supreme commander of their army, Gu Kao, flew in the direction where the Church of Doom's elders were located. He plans to stall them until his team does the rest of the job. As for the Tang dynasty's ancestor, he directly flew straight toward Mark and Lan Ju. And soon he met them too. Mark was bulldozing through every tree and rock by brute force while flying at subsonic speed. Lan Ju was flying beside him while dodging every block on the way. At a location, roughly around 6.5 km away from the golem, Mark suddenly received a warning in the system. Inside the helmet, a tiny holographic screen has opened up with a warning. Warning: a powerful hostile force is coming your way. 1924 meters, 1832, 1740, 1648, 1556. Upon seeing the warning and followed by the distance tracking display, Mark controlled the suit through telepathic connection and put an abrupt brake, crashing onto a large boulder and then falling onto the ground. Lan Ju stopped beside him. It looks like you need more training to operate that exo thing, armor, or whatever it is. Luckily it is just Zheng. If it was someone else, it would have been so embarrassing to show this pathetic side of me. Mark slowly got up on his feet and was checking his suit to see if there are any scratches. Neither any scratches appear on the suit nor did he feel any pain or so whatever. Okay, good. Now let's focus on the enemy. He raised his head to look at the sky. So you two sensed him, huh? Lan Ju commented, to which Mark nodded. Look, Lu Zhen. The incoming enemy is at the peak stage of the Supreme Realm, and it is best for you to stay beside me at all costs. Lan Ju then gave the warning. It was then Mark understood that the suit probably give him the warning of an enemy who is powerful enough to destroy it. After all, he collided with trees to boulders on the way, but he was never warned once. He reached out his back and took the battle rifle in his hands to face the enemy who is moving toward them at 331 kmph. Through enhanced vision, Mark could actually see his appearance, although not clearly. His face was a bit blurry. 452 m, 360 m, 268 m, 176 m, 84 m. The old man finally stopped and started slowly descending onto the ground with a smile on his face, roughly 5 meters away from Mark and Lan Ju. Mark activated his sage eyes right away and inspected his details. Tang Jiao. Race human dragon. Age 486. Rank 9 circle peak stay. Spirit path fighter. Attribute fire. Bloodline red dragon. Affiliation Dragon Empire. Description: Tang Jiao is the former emperor of the Dragon Empire. Born as the descendant of a dragon, he can completely transform into a red dragon and gain its abilities, although for a limited time because of his human race. A dragon, eh? Mark stared at the old man, wondering how his realm form looked. Whether in his past world where dragons are a myth or in this world where people claimed that they were real, the topic of dragons was always fascinating among the public. Like others, he too wished to see what a real dragon looks like. The drakes and worms are a common sight, and they were considered impure dragons or fake dragons. At the same time, he also wondered whether this old man would have a spirit core like other beasts if he was killed in dragon form. And if he dies, will he revert to a human corpse or will he stay as a dragon? That is also something that needed to be pondered. Meanwhile, Tang Jiao was also observing the two of them. He found his target for sure, but Mark's appearance and the lack of ether made him furrow his brows. "Who are you two?" he asked. Chapter 298.2 Battle for the Seed of Fire, Part 2. Who are you two? Tang Jiao couldn't help but ask about their identities in surprise upon realizing that he cannot sense anything from Mark. Just like Lan Ju, he too never witnessed such strange armor. If not for the fact that he can smell the presence of a human from Mark, he would have thought that it is a new type of beast or an extraterrestrial creature. At the same time, he couldn't figure out whether Lan Ju is a human though. For him, Lan Ju didn't smell like a human nor did he smell like a beast. It left Tang Jiao momentarily confused. Unfortunately for him, neither Mark nor Lan Ju is in the mood for a chat. Without bothering to introduce himself, Mark passed the order, "Lan Ju, kill him. But before that, I want to see his real form." Lan Ju nodded and charged forward, launching an attack without any warning. Tang Jiao barely managed to dodge the incoming punch and exclaimed in surprise, "Whoa, that was..." Before he finished, Lan Ju, who narrowly missed hitting the target, put a sudden break to his legs and elbowed Tang Jiao's back. The force behind this casual attack was so powerful that the latter flew away like 50 meters and crashed onto a boulder before falling to the ground. Mark expected the old man to get furious after getting hit, but to his surprise, the Tang dynasty's ancestor was grinning in happiness as he rose to his feet. "Yes, this is it. How long it has been since I was hit by someone. Good, very good. Tang Jiao went into a battle stance, the feet pointed forward, thighs parallel to the floor, with the buttocks pushed out, and the back arched up to keep the upper body from leaning forward. It indicated that he follows a particular style of fighting. On the other hand, Lan Ju simply stood on the spot without any sort of stance or so whatever. Your current strength isn't a match for me. You better go with your full strength, the descendant of a dragon. Then make me do so, unnamed warrior, replied the Tang dynasty's ancestor with a smile on his face, while pouring ether energy into his body, forming a layer of scarlet energy over his skin. All right then. Lan Ju once again rushed forward once again. This time, sparks of lightning could be seen dancing all over his body, increasing his speed by tenfold. What the? Tang Jiao's smile was gone and replaced by shock once again. Before he blinked his eyes, Lan Ju was already before him and gave a powerful blow to the chest. In just a fraction of a second, Tang Jiao crashed onto several trees and rocks, falling away nearly half a kilometer from his earlier spot. Meanwhile, Mark was pushed back a dozen meters by the shock waves generated by the hypersonic speed of Lan Ju, followed by a sonic boom in the air. Thanks to the suit's resistance, the effect is reduced a lot, and Mark decided to fly into the air and become a spectator. I can't believe that I tried to challenge this beast. Was he playing around with me back then? Mark was not only taken aback, but also started sweating upon watching Lan Ju's strength up close. What's funny is that this isn't even Lan Ju's real strength. It led Mark to wonder how strong his biological mother, who is allegedly in the demigod realm, according to Lan Ju. Mark was certainly strong and he possessed the unique skills to crush supreme beings like ants. However, having power isn't everything. This is what he realized when he watched the one-sided battle through the sniper rifle's scope. Within no time, as Mark wanted, Tang Jiao stopped smiling and then turned into a true dragon. His realm isn't changed, but his strength has certainly increased. Roar! Tang Jiao, upon turning into a dragon, has probably lost his senses. He behaved like a true beast, breathing an ocean of flames all over his surroundings. Or maybe he was actually aiming at Lan Ju, who was moving at extremely high speed and punching from different directions. Mark doesn't know and doesn't want to know either. As soon as he saw the red-scaled dragon, which looked almost similar to how he imagined it to be, he controlled the suit to fly forward at subsonic speed. Within no time, he covered more than 2 kilometers, although the landing wasn't smooth. Upon reaching 200 meters range, Mark tried to stop, but due to the high speed, he was forced to deactivate his flying ability and crash to the ground, making a small-sized crater. He was now only 150 meters away from the majestic-looking angry dragon, which is destroying its surrounding terrain like a mad beast. It sensed his presence, but not being able to sense any ether energy from him. The dragon ignored Mark's presence and concentrated on the prick who was punching it left and right at an extremely high speed. Well, let's end this thing. Mark raised his hand toward the sky. He was about to unleash the Thunderblast skill, but remembered at the last second that the lightning descended from the heavens will completely roast the dragon without the possibility of corpse retrieval. Slap. He slapped himself on the forehead in realization, dumbass. Mark dwelled on the matter more seriously. Okay, first, let's think of a way to kill it but not destroy its corpse as a result, and at the same time not expend my ether energy too much. If not for the fact that Mark doesn't want to expose Lan Ju's identity, he would have told Zheng to go all out right from the beginning. And now, because of the time constraints, he was forced to help it out. Of course, within a minute or two, the dragon will be killed even without his intervention, but he probably wants to show off his abilities to Lan Ju in order to gain more respect and loyalty points from the Beast Emperor. The bloodline skills I have aren't that useful at the moment. Thunderblast's skill might completely destroy its body, bloodline skills, and even the lightning clone won't be enough to one-shot the dragon unless I drink the peak potion. Helicopter needs Alan to pilot it. An M134 minigun is useful but has huge energy consumption. That leaves the missile defense system. Multi-target ether missile will work, but I intended to save it for the golem. So in the best-case scenario, I will have to use 50% ether energy to unleash super beam skill from the minigun and take out the dragon, and then use the multi-ether missiles against the lava golem. This way, I can save my peak potion for emergency measures. Wait a second. How about the Amulet of Diu? Nah, I decided to do it on a later date under Lan Ju's supervision, and let's keep it that way. Then how about I improve it once and see if I can get any new skills? Well, it's worth a try. It would be better to upgrade it directly to the mithril grade, but the situation calls in. After thinking for a bit, he made the decision. Open inventory. While distancing himself away from the battlefield, Mark opened the inventory and clicked on the missile defense system. He scrolls down to the bottom and went on to click on Upgrade, spending hundreds of thousands of credits. Ding, 840,000 credits were deducted. Missile Defense System V has been upgraded to Missile Defense System VI. Mark then checked out its details. Its appearance hasn't changed much except for the increase in the number of mortars. Earlier, it was 20 per launcher. Now, it was 25. The missile's maximum speed was also increased to Mach 4.2, giving hope that they will go hypersonic once the defense system gets upgraded a couple of more times. And then, there's an additional active skill added to the weapon skills list along with skill upgrades, earning a satisfactory nod from Mark. This is indeed better than M134. Well, isn't that obvious? Anyway, let's not waste the time and get to the action. Mark summoned the missile defense system. The mounted type defense system looked a bit similar to the infamous Iron Dome system, although this one has a sophisticated appearance and doesn't have any separate control center or radar system. All of it was inbuilt within just one single big box that has buttons and levers on it. Mark would love to disassemble this for the research at any other time, but for now, his concentration was on getting the job done rather than admiring it. He quickly read the instructions on its details page and get to a conclusion. Okay, so this is the one I need. Chapter 299.3, Battle for the Seed of Fire, Part 3. Mark went on clicking a black-colored button. Ding, the skill, Trident Missile, was activated. 414,252 ether points were deducted. Ding, please lock on the target. Because of all the flames ahead, it became a little bit harder for Mark to lock it right away, but without any intervention from any enemy, he comfortably took his time to do the task. Once the target was locked, the three launchers absorbed natural energy from the surroundings at a terrifying pace, alerting all the Supreme Realm experts within the 30 km radius. Just like others, Lan Ju and Tang Jiao also sensed the surge of power just a couple of kilometers away. They put a pause on their battle for a moment. The strangest thing for them is that the power isn't coming from a human or a beast. It was from a non-living thing. Lan Ju didn't receive any information on it, but he understood that Lu Zhen wanted to make the last strike. Hence, he decided to stop toying with the dragon and slam the ground, unleashing one of his skills. In an instant, huge volumes of water rose from the ground, extending like tree branches and capturing the red dragon's limbs. Roar! The dragon roared in anger and used its hottest flames to evaporate the water web and free itself. However, before the flames touched the water, Lan Ju went on to pour lightning energy into the water threads, effectively paralyzing the dragon. Tang Jiao didn't feel helpless more than ever. He wondered why he even tried to wage an unnecessary battle against a superior opponent. He regretted being arrogant about his cultivation strength, which led to the underestimation of the enemies. Just until a minute ago, this Tang dynasty's ancestor was grinning in satisfaction because of an adrenaline rush, and now that smile was long gone. Like a trapped insect on the spider web, the dragon waited 10 seconds until 3 beams of energy shot from the 3 launchers of the missile defense system. The 3 beams of energy then converged immediately to take the appearance of a 3-pronged spear, a trident, as it flew toward its target at the speed of Mach 4.2. As the attack formed, Lan Ju and the Red Dragon sensed the power behind it, peak stage of the demigod realm. Knowing well that he was going to die, Tang Jiao decided to take his enemies with him to the afterlife by committing suicide. He exploded his spirit core, intending to release almost 25 billion joules of energy into the surroundings, destroying everything within the 10-kilometer radius. He died right away without seeing the result of his suicide attack, but unfortunately for him, nothing happened as he desired. To save Mark, Lan Ju turned into the five-tailed leopard and used a magic skill to absorb all the energy into his body. As a result, the explosion happened inside him, damaging his internal organs. Meanwhile, the ether trident passed through everything that came in its way and directly pierced the red dragon corpse's chest, destroying its body completely. As everything happened in the span of a few seconds, Mark couldn't comprehend the situation. It was only after he picked up the sniper rifle to look at the result did he saw the injured leopard. As for the dragon, he cannot see its remains. Did I make a mistake? He was sure that the attack would kill the beast, but didn't know that because it struck a dead dragon without any cultivation. It destroyed the remains completely instead of making a hole out of its chest. So, why is there an injured leopard on the ground? Mark wondered whether his attack actually affected both of them. He didn't know what happened, but it wasn't the time to ponder on the situation either. Everything can be answered by Zheng. Mark flew toward the spot and landed before the five-tailed scarlet leopard, which was currently surrounded by a layer of translucent natural energy. It took a whole 3 minutes for the Zheng beast to recover completely and transform back into a human. Mark patiently waited until Lan Ju was fine and then inquired with him. As Lan Ju explained the details of the battle, Mark only felt frustrated about losing his time, profits, and ether points without gaining anything in return. This negative feeling inside him forced him to take an extreme step. He ordered the Beast Emperor in a serious tone, "Lan Ju, I want the fire seeds and the corpse of the golem. I ask you to kill every competitor that goes near my prey. If you meet someone in the Supreme Realm, you can transform into your original form, but make sure to finish them. After killing them, collect their corpses into this." As Mark handed a gold-grade storage ring to Lan Ju, the latter replied with a question, "And what about you? Will you be taking care of the golem?" Previously, he thought that Mark was too overconfident, but after sensing the power inside the ether trident earlier, he put a bit more trust in Mark's strength. Of course, the worry of Mark getting hurt is there, naturally. He warned him about the rage inside the lava golem. Mark quickly dispelled his worries, saying that he will attack from far away. Lan Ju nodded and left him alone. In the event of an ambush from an enemy that Mark cannot tackle, he would teleport to Mark's side and solves it. Meanwhile, at least 10 kilometers away from this drama, two experts who just met each other to battle stopped their squabbling on who should back away and shifted their focus into the direction where Mark and Lan Ju were standing earlier on. The Supreme Commander, Gu Kao, was in a state of shock, sensing the loss of life from Tang Jiao. "You must have also sensed it, right?" he asked Yan Hai, the leader of the Church of Doom. The latter nodded with a frown on his face. Gu Kao then put forth a proposal. "How about we settle our differences later and remove the threat together? Neither of us alone will be able to fight this expert." Yan Hai then responded with a counter-offer. "We don't need to fight, though. All we need is an elemental seed. Give us the smaller fire seed and take the bigger one. You can settle the compensation for the difference with ether crystals." "All right." The Supreme Commander of the Dragon Empire nodded solemnly in agreement. While it appears like the Church of Doom and the Dragon Empire suddenly became allies, however, in reality, Gu Kao never planned to honor the agreement from the start. He wanted to claim everything. Well, that is how the Dragon Empire is. Whatever thing the Tang dynasty had eyes on, by hook or crook, the empire will acquire it. Soon, both of them left in the direction where Lan Ju was heading towards. Meanwhile, Mark was flying toward the lava golem that seemed to be continuously swinging its hands while pouring down the lava occasionally. as its enemies are at least 1500 times smaller than itself, but have the power to put holes in its body. The lava golem was indeed facing trouble in killing them. Of course, Mark can attack it and eventually kill it from a safe distance, way outside its range of attack. Unfortunately, he couldn't because of the competitors who are standing close to it. He doesn't want someone to steal its carcass and run away before he reaches there. This is why he needed to be in close proximity. At the same time, he cannot also finish it quickly too. It will make lose a lot of profits. Hence, Mark flew at a controlled and low speed of about 80 km/h, while Lanju tries to eliminate the competition and brings back their treasures. By the time Mark reached the destination, the lava golem has already stopped swinging its arms and gone into a still mode. Making the same mistake as Tang Jiao, the lava golem treated him like a civilian, who is not of any threat to it, and didn't bother to attack Mark even after he came as close as 500 meters. And since everyone is dead except for the two, well, according to Lanju, Mark summoned the missile defense system once again and set it up on a flat molten rock surface. He clicked on the red button, launching the skill multi-target ether missile. After the latest upgrade, it releases 25 ether missiles from one of the 3 launchers, with each ether missile containing 120% of Mark's current attack power. 10-0 int. Ding, choose the targets. Okay, here we go. Mark allotted all the 25 markings to the lava golem so that it will be bombarded with ether missiles one after another. And all of this only costs him 30% ether energy. Because the lava golem's body is quite huge, he hoped that its body along with the fire seeds won't be destroyed completely. Mark's target lock is finished, and the missile defense system is absorbing the natural energy. He was expecting that everything will go well, but little did he expect how much of a blunder he had made by coming closer to the target and launching the skill. Because Lanju failed to mention how he sensed the surge of natural energy when he launched the ether trident earlier, Mark failed to guess the possibility of the defense system getting attacked while it was still in the middle of charging. As an automatic response to the threat, the lava golem immediately acted upon sensing the power surge from the missile defense system. It raised its arm to swat Mark and the weapon at a terrifying attack speed. Oh shit! Activate nullification. Mark quickly raised his arms and used the remaining ether energy to launch the suit's skill, nullification, in order to absorb the damage and protect the weapon. Chapter 300.4 Battle for the Seed of Fire Part 4. 60 seconds earlier. More than 4 km to the east of the lava golem, the Church of Doom's leader and Tang Dynasty's supreme commander were aggressively attacking a 5-tailed leopard with their movements so synchronized as if the both of them were teammates for years. Both of them appeared to be filled with rage and wanted to kill the Beast Emperor at all costs, as they lost all of their teammates. A while ago, Gu Kao and Yan Hai successfully cut off Lanju's way as he was moving toward the battlefield, or at least they thought at first. They wanted to kill Lanju before he steals the fire seed, but they didn't expect that it was a part of Lanju's plan. After dragging the 2 of the most powerful opponents from their respective teams to at least 10 kilometers away, Lanju simply said hello to them, and then turned into a scarlet leopard before teleporting to the golem. By the time the 2 experts caught up to him, every member of their respective teams was ruthlessly massacred. Their bodies were collected. Lanju was collecting the corpses of the experts from the Iron Palm sect while pushing away the golem's arms with its 100 times enlarged 5 tails. The leader of the group managed to escape using a great teleportation scroll, so he was the only one alive. In the meantime, Gu Kao and Yan Hai found him, and they started their attacks in fury to take revenge for their companions, whose even corpses weren't spared by the beast. Sensing Mark was getting near to the location, Lanju decided to take the both of them far away. Their desire for revenge made them put priority on killing this demigod realm leopard at all costs. Since the leopard is an agile offensive type, Gu Kao and Yan Hai had the confidence to take down the Beast Emperor, despite their senses telling them that the latter is in the demigod realm. With no opponents except for the mysterious group left to trouble his sect master, Lan Ju thought that everything to go well. Little did he expect that Mark would come so close to the golem. Even then, he didn't interfere and continued to fight against two Supreme Realm experts, who happened to be quite a challenge as their strength far surpassed an average Supreme being. Adding on top of this, Gu Kao, the Supreme Commander of the Dragon Empire, was a light water attribute user, while Yan Hai, the leader of the Church of Doom, surprisingly has the abilities of fire, water, wind, lightning, metal, poison, wood, and darkness. As the fighting dragged on for a minute, Gu Kao was more alarmed upon witnessing the techniques of Yan Hai. The Zheng is a beast emperor born with multi-attributes. It wasn't a secret to either Yan Hai or Gu Kao. However, Gu Kao didn't expect to see Yan Hai has so many attributes. Believing that no human could be born with so many attributes, he realized that Gu Kao was too dangerous to keep alive, and decided to kill him when an opportunity arrives, perhaps at a time when he will be drastically injured while fighting against the Zheng beast. As for Yan Hai, he fought face-to-face against Lan Ju more than 3 times in the past, and ran away with his life every single time. He learned its habits, techniques, weaknesses, and everything. That knowledge brought him an advantage in this fight with a worthy teammate, who is in the same realm, can support his lightning with water, and can heal his injuries inflicted by the enemy. And now, at present, Gu Kao unleashed a skill called the Aqua Dragon, which is a concentrated form of huge volumes of water in the shape of a limbless and wingless dragon. Yan Hai supported the skill by adding a lightning attribute to it, increasing its attack power to inflict damage on the Scarlet Leopard. At first, Lan Ju wanted to evade the attack by using short teleportation, but then, he sensed the surge of power from Mark's weird-looking weapon and the golem's actions simultaneously. "Get lost, the both of you!" Lan Ju roared at his opponents and conjured a powerful fireball with white flames dancing on it. The hot white fireball completely destroyed the combined attack of Yan Hai and Gu Kao, unleashing a massive amount of energy from the collision. By the time both of them stabilized themselves, the Scarlet Leopard is gone from their sight. Did it run away? Gu Kao wondered out loud. Yan Hai immediately expanded his senses to scan the surroundings. "It is at the golem," he replied before asking to himself who might be that civilian. Gu Kao was also a supreme being, and he too can sense their presence at the battle site. "It appears that the beast has a weakness. What if we capture him and put psychological pressure on the Zheng?" Yan Hai didn't know who it is either, but judging by how Mark was protected, he too agreed that it is a good choice. However, unfortunately, he wasn't the type to make cowardly actions to fulfill his goal. He wanted to subdue or kill the beast no matter what. Glancing at Gu Kao, he got an idea. He took out a scroll from his storage card. "What is it?" Gu Kao wondered whether Yan Hai has some trump card to act against the Beast Emperor. Yan Hai answered truthfully, "This is something that will help me to defeat the beast." Yan Hai used "me" in the sentence, but Gu Kao didn't dwell on such a thing because of the urgent situation. In fact, he was actually wondering whether Yan Hai has more treasures in his storage ring. He was a little bit excited to acquire them once this leader of the Church of Doom dies. It was at that moment Yan Hai opened it toward Gu Kao, revealing complex symbols drawn inside a 6-pointed star. Gu Kao thought that Yan Hai was explaining it to him, but the latter activated the seal by pouring ether energy into the scroll, unleashing threads of purple-colored energy threads from the scroll and capturing Gu Kao immediately. As they were standing near, Gu Kao couldn't dodge the sudden attack and fell into a trap. What the hell are you doing?" Gu Kao roared at Yan Hai. Yan Hai let out a smile. "Sorry, but you'll have to become a part of me in order to defeat the Zheng. And don't bother to resist. This is created by our guardian of the Doom Tower. You have to be in the same league as the Zheng to resist it." The energy threads tightened their grip, releasing strange energy into Gu Kao's body. He started to feel dizzy while his ether energy was slipping away from his body. He tried to resist it, but all of his strength appeared to be draining away non-stop. "You bastard, you will pay for." They were the last words Gu Ko spouted before his body started to deform, eventually turning into some kind of black ball. Yanhai picked up the ball from the ground and swallowed it. Within the next few seconds, a layer of golden energy covered his body, removing all the leftover bruises. This surge of ether energy, the power of light attribute, I feel like I can break through to the demigod realm. However, I need to fulfill the task. As long as I can acquire the fire seed and subdue the Zheng, all the sacrifices are worth it. He then turned around to look in the direction where the giant lava golem was supposed to be. It looks like the battle is already over. Now, what are we waiting for? Let's go and cap. Rumble. 2 yellow lightning streaks descended from the sky simultaneously without any warning, striking the region where Mark and Lan Ju were supposed to be standing. Who are they? Yanhai furrowed his brows as he saw a group of 7 slowly descending toward the ground. He activated his senses, probing their realms. A trace of surprise appeared on his face. All of them are in the Supreme Realm. Who are they? Where did they come from? What should I do now? Damn it. The matter has become complicated. Should I go forward or should I leave? Meanwhile, at the remnants of MT. Jizu, the scarlet leopard, was lying on the ground with a hole in its body. The missile defense system was in flames, and Mark crashed onto a rock without any injuries.